Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 89 of the Podcana podcast. This week, we're continuing our discussion for the set 7 cards. We're going to be kind of reviewing them in depth. I'm pretty sure all the cards have been revealed at this stage, so if there are any that we missed last week that you guys wanted us to talk about, we'll be talking about them today, because obviously all of them weren't revealed at the time. So yeah, headlines. As I said, set 7 stuff. We'll also be kind of discussing a potential new deck that we're both kind of intrigued with and interested in. And hopefully that inspires you guys to get a little bit creative with set 7 as well. And Moyen has just added to the notes. Moyen was at a very prestigious tournament last weekend where it was a pretty cool finals. So actually, yeah, do you want to start off talking about that event, Moyen? How was that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I love the event. I've never been to Battle Bear, and it's like a huge shop in Kaiserslautern, Germany. And it was 222 players, just like at a card game shop, which that's crazy on its own right. And it was a very long tournament as well. We played 8 rounds of best of 3, and the top 16 final cut, all on the same day.
In one day. Oh my god.
Yeah. So we started early in the morning, and then we left like in the middle of the night.
Jeez.
But while I was very tired in the end, I had a lot of fun. I tested a lot of spicy decks. I also asked on Twitter for like some spicy deck ideas. I tested like Amber, Sapphire, Ruby, Steel, some of the stuff that's been suggested to me. But in the end, it's very, very difficult for me to play a deck knowingly when I know there's something better out there.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, I was like, I jumped over my little ego and said, okay, let's give the Ding Kang Fang version of Red Blue a try. Tested that quite a bit. And, you know, on some other podcasts, I talked about how you cannot change that much about it, or the deck actually stops functioning. I still thought there was like a few slots that were worth exploring some ideas. I really like the 4th Thaler in that list. I think it's very consistent. It's never a break. Like the 3/3 on the body on the board helps like in every matchup. It's great at singing. It's great at making opposing mana plays bad, because just 3 damage on the board is enough to really punish it with like a Maui. And then I still found that the deck could like easily lose to like these Doc Pete piles. It could be blue steel, purple steel, amber steel. But all of these piles you could kind of just lose against if they get some aggression out early, and then they just lock you with a Pete. You cannot stabilize with the B-Prep. So to get around that, I was still playing 1 Scar, 1 Sisu. Scar and 4th Thaler performed extremely well. The Sisu, like it had its moments, but I don't think you have to play it. It was nice in these positions where it was like, I have to remove something, but I already developed a Shark, and it's not easy to remove something without playing B-Prep. So it helped me push advantage in those situations. It came in great against like a Dog Blue Steel against Alice at times. But don't think you have to play the Sisu, but I would always play like at least 1 Scar and always the 4th Thaler. Felt very weird to only play 3 Flower Charm, but it worked completely fine. There was actually the final game in the finals. I had to ink my first Flower Charm because I had like 3 Alphargos and a B-Prep in hand. And then the second Flower Charm was like 20 cards deep into the deck, or 20 cards more. So there it really, really hurt. But over the course of the tournament, you often just banish a Popsicle for tempo, or you just don't have time to do something that's as slow as a Flower Charm, or you have better stuff to do. So 3 Flower Charm worked completely fine. I was actually playing only 3 Brawl. I think Diablo's a little bit out of the meta. Flynn is a little bit out of meta, and you don't care about it as much. While Brawl performed fine in the tournament, I still got it often enough playing 3 copies. So basically, I cut a Brawl, and I cut the 2 Let It Goes. Let It Go is just a cut I have never really been a huge fan of, and it's a little bit weird because I'm cutting a card that's like good in the mirror, because otherwise it's like one of the only cards that can really break the standoff between the sharks in a very efficient way. But other than that, I think the card's awful. It's like it's by far the card you ink the most, and you can play the mirror without it completely and just pressure, like maybe exert your shark to sing, play some manas at the same time, and just overload the opposing challenging characters. And then if your opponent plays a shark that you have to deal with, it's fine to play the B prep and then play the long drawn-out game. So the mirror in the end was also really, really fun. I was able to win game 1 on the draw, where I did exactly that. We both basically did the same thing, which like Tipo, how far I go shark. Then the sharks were kind of looking at each other, because the first one to exert it kind of just gives up an advantage. And maybe that game, both of us missed an opportunity to just sing how far I go, quest with the Tipo, play one mana. Maybe that was already good enough in overloading the shark. I waited a turn. Then Kang also had the option to go for like the overloading with 1 mana, didn't do it. But I at least set up like the sing how far I go, quest with Tipo, play 2 manas on the turn after, which like completely locked out that game. And so some parts of that mirror matchup are like really can be really unfun, and the game can end very, very quickly. But there can also be some very nice back and forth. So that matchup's actually more interesting than I thought. And I don't actually feel bad into any other matchup in set 6. So I think that is quite impressive. I do think a version like this of Red-Blue is, in my opinion, clearly the best deck in set 6. And it just shows how difficult it is to find something like this. Like it took us ages in the set to really get to this, and I'm happy it has been found now, because we're almost on to the next set. And I think it's kind of a shame when you like go through an entire set without getting to this feeling of, okay, we actually found what deck performs best in the format. And it's not that this deck cannot be unfavored against anything. I think maybe like some decks that are specifically built to do well against this will be fine. Like maybe I found some green-purple deck that's like heavy on evasives to kind of strand the Goofies and strand the Washmawis in their hand. And that I think still works, but I think that doesn't change the fact that like matchup spread-wise, everything, consistency-wise, this is still the best deck of set 6.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree. Did you happen to face any Amber Emerald while you were there? I highly doubt it, right?
No, I don't think I did. Like, Ember Steel was the deck I faced the most. Mm-hmm. And you know, once we did this video, the decks for set champs, where we also highlighted the matchup spreads for all the decks that we suggested. And one of the suggestions we got a little bit of flack for was like saying, okay, the Ember Steel dog deck doesn't actually beat Red-Blue. It's like less unfavored than the normal Steel Song. And I still stand by that. Now, okay, of course, it's different context. It's like a different version of Red-Blue. But that matchup feels like really, really good for the new Red-Blue. Even better than for like the control Red-Blue that has to get to a board clear, while this version can slow them down a lot earlier in the game if it just goes any 4-drop into Washmawi and does that quite consistently.
Sure, yeah. No, it sounded like a fun event. It looked really fun. Any opportunity to compete while we still don't have information for upcoming DLCs and stuff is great. Like there's an event this weekend at Gamescom LAN, and then over the course of next month, I think there's like an event in the UK, Axion, and then there's also an event in Italy, which is run by Lorcana League Italia. So some opportunities to travel and compete if you really want to, which is nice because, while we're in this kind of dry period for competitive stuff, like if you have that itch to compete, you definitely still can. So that's great to see. So just jumping into our spilled ink section really quickly before we dive into some of the cards. First comment is from Pyra. Yes, they say very enjoyable talk. Kawa, if you read this, what is your latest Lemon Lime list? I've discovered this deck with your first place on the Content Creator Championship videos a few months ago, and I've been loving this list since then. If you want to see the latest version of my list, you can go to our Discord server. There's a link to it in the video description, and it's just in the Emerald Amber section, a link to my tweet. And it also has, not only is my deck list there, but it also has my thoughts to some potential changes I may still make to it. But as we're coming to the end of set 6, I think it's still pretty much the final version I would play. Maybe change 1 or 2 cards out. The other comment that we got was from Hayasoko. They say, with the new set coming up, how do you guys go about testing with the limited resources available? you play up proxies against players of your caliber, or is your preparation for a new set mostly theoretical until cards are released? See a lot of people building decks via deck builders, but rarely ever hear if people refine them in early development. From what I've seen so far, it does seem like a lot of the new cards are available over on Lorcana. My guess is that it's mainly just the English versions, because I know even on Dreamborn, if you want to make decks on Dreamborn for set 7, all of the English cards are on there so far, but the cards that are in other languages might not be on there yet until the English ones are confirmed for, in case there's some translation errors with effects and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, if I want to go about testing right now, I'd probably just hop on like Tabletop Simulator with Moyen. Like, that's my preferred way of testing, is just kind of, cook up some decks, play against Moyen. But if you don't have a testing partner and, you want to try some general stuff, like Lorcana is a tool that we have, and like you should definitely try it out. Like I myself and Moyen were talking before the podcast, and it's like he was saying for like ease of use and just to kind of jump into a game quickly, like Lorcana is still pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also if you have like a testing partner that you can meet up with in person, which is usually the most fun way to test, getting the proxies up into your deck is also a good way to do so. I think generally, yes. As soon as I don't. So some people already start testing when we have like half the cards revealed. I don't do that, but as soon as we have all the cards, I'm generally quite eager to get into playing some games, see how they actually feel outside of just the theory.
Mm-hmm. For sure, yeah. I want to say as well, unfortunately, we had a lot more comments, but since I had to re-upload last week's episode of the podcast, they were actually lost. They got removed. So if you had a comment from the week before, feel free to leave it on this week's episode, and we'll catch it up again for next week. But yeah, since we've got a lot of cards to jump into, let's transition over to some of the cards we'll be talking about. So the first one I want to look at here is, I think we spoke about Water Has Memory last week. So we've got Candlehead. This is a 2-cost inkable, 2 strength, 2 willpower character card with an amber. A quest for 1 has the ability, when this character is banished, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. Standard amber card. Doesn't really impress me that much. The only thing that's notable is it's a racer. I guess it's notable to say it's an ally as well, because that seems like it's a like a classification that's becoming a little bit more popular this set. But it's just like a worse Timon, I think. I think Timon's a 1-cost inkable 1/2 on play heal something for 2. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not. I guess on banish it's not strictly worse than on play, because you can like kind of set it up for some cool combos. But yeah, it's overall not very exciting.
Yep. The next one you have is Coda. This is just a 3-cost inkable 2/2 quest for 3. It's a cool stat line. I don't think we've actually seen this stat line before.
Yeah, I think we have like a similar stat line in. We have inkable 3 drops that quest for 3, but they've always been 1/3s.
Yes.
Like Caterpillar and Magic Carpet.
Yeah, there's also I mean, it's not a direct comparison, but like Piglet is a 2-cost inkable 2/2. Like kind of quest for 3 with certain conditions that aren't too hard to meet, but it's still cool. It's still a cool stat line for sure.
Yeah, honestly, with Caterpillar, it's from set 2, right? I thought at some point maybe it would find play, but maybe it would have in other colors. But I guess Sapphire never had a need for that type of card, and
know Alice exists, right? Yeah, so
yeah, and now we're at a point where I think cards are better than this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, next we have Mufasa, which is just a steel 4/4 vanilla 4-cost inkable. Next we've got Merlin. I don't think we discussed this card last week. This is a 1-cost inkable Amethyst Sapphire dueling card with 0/1 stats. It quests for 1. Has the ability, whenever this character quests, name a card, then reveal the top card of your deck. If it's the named card, put it into your inkwell face down and exerted. Otherwise, put it on the top of your deck. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm not like the biggest expert on these types of cards, because I don't have all the synergy cards on the top of my head that like can help me set this up. But outside of that, just thinking about like if I play this on 1 and I hit on 2 without it costing me too much to set it up, that's like ramping on 2, but only spending 1 ink on it and setting it up on 1, and then they have to. I know it's not difficult to deal with it, but at least they have to exert a character, right? To challenge it and have a character, and then maybe you can do something against the exerted character. So it's like it's not a weak card. My gut feeling is that the ways to set it up are probably not efficient enough.
I think the easiest way to set it up, in my opinion, would be you'd have to play a card on 2, which is the Cauldron from set 1, right? Ursula's Cauldron, that you see the top card of your deck, or top 2, I think.
Yeah, that's one I was thinking of as well, but it's like, if I'm doing that on turn 2, then I think the cost of setting it up might be more than what I would want it to be. But it also depends on the rest of the deck, right? If I'm just thinking of it as a 2-card combo, which is play this on 1, then play the Cauldron, and then by doing that I ramp on 2, sure, that's not like incredibly powerful. But if more of my deck works together with this, knowing the top card of my deck, then and I can and I already have set up how to do that for all my other cards, then it's a lot more powerful. I guess the other one that sets this up well on 2 is Merlin's Cottage from Sapphire.
Yeah. And there's also the Merlin Squirrel, I think, which is another similar card. But the interesting thing is that, like, some people are pointing out, like, oh, you just play this in a deck full of Merlins. But, like, I just don't like the idea of, like, okay, sure, the more Merlins you put in your deck, the more likely if you say Merlin it will hit. But that's not always guaranteed to hit.
That's not what I mean. That could work if the effect would, like, win you, no, not win you the game, but if the effect would also, like, be okay if it doesn't hit and then be really good if it hits. But, like, it's really bad if this misses.
Yeah. No, I agree for sure. It's like maybe a shift target for Merlin as well, like a 1-cost shift target, but
but I mean, I like this card. I think this entire knowing top card of your deck thing is like a little bit gimmicky, but it's fun, and this is like one of the more powerful cards to take advantage of, knowing the top card of your deck.
Yep. The next card is Miss Bianca, which we actually breezed over last week, but we didn't even like acknowledge the text. We since found out it's a 6-cost inkable 5/5 quest for 1. Within Steel, which is basically just this costs 2 less to play if you have an ally character on the board. So it's like a worse Scrooge McDuck, but it's inkable. So it's an inkable 4-cost 5/5 quest for 1 rather than an uninkable 4-cost 5/5 quest for 2.
Yeah. And like, I would probably an inkable 4-cost 5/5 quest for 1 might be better than Scrooge.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think that at least, like, it definitely, there's reasons to say that it would be better. But the problem is this, like, a conditional 4-cost 5/5, and at that point maybe that is not better, because you won't always have an ally, even though also some comment pointed out last week we can go Tipo on 2 and then Bianca on 3, and it's like a powerful stat line. But I mean, it's not crazy powerful enough where I would be excited to put this card into my deck.
Yeah, there's actually, I mean, we'll be talking about a deck after this that happens to have a lot of allies in it, like Smee and stuff. So, like, we could look at it in the context of that, I suppose, after. Next one is Orville, which we covered last week. Then we've got Diablo, which is a 2-cost inkable Amethyst Emerald card with the 1/2 stat line. Quest for 1, it has Evasive and Challenger +2. So it's quite comparable to Sir Hiss in a sense, right?
Yeah.
But it's, in my opinion, it is... do I want to say this is just a worse Sir Hiss? Maybe I do, because there's not that many ping effects that just ping for 1. So I feel like most of the stuff that kills Sir Hiss probably kill this Diablo as well. And then also, if you're like... It sounds silly, but the 3 strength of Sir Hiss is a big reason why you play that card, potentially to stop your opponent's Ruby Flynn Rider. It helps, potentially not get banished by an opposing big Sisu because it's 3 strength and not 2. So for those reasons, I think I still like Sir Hiss better, but I can see why this is, it's technically a better Sir Hiss, but it's also, you have to play this in Amethyst Emerald. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I agree with you. I think there's very little. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff in the game that deals 1 damage, but there's very little cards that are actually played in competitive decks that deal 1 damage. So because of that, I think I would much rather have permanent 3 strength than an extra willpower and just 3 strength on my turn, 1 strength on their turn. So this card is looking awful to me.
This is also way worse in, like, than Sir Hiss, that, like, your opponent's 3-cost Diablo can just challenge this and that's just gone because it has Challenger. It doesn't have the higher strength. So yeah. But I guess speaking about kind of pinging stuff, the next card is Queen of Hearts. This is an Emerald Ruby card, 5 cost, an inkable, 2/6 quest for 2. Shift 3, whenever another character is played, put a damage counter on them. Wow! Synergy with Emerald's damage characters!
Sure.
I don't know.
But I mean, this is a with all the green cards that need them to have damaged characters, we always said, okay, but there's no good way to proc it. Surely this is a good way to proc it, right?
I mean, if you're shifting this for 3, this seems like pretty good, honestly.
Shift this for 3, and then maybe have some cards that take advantage of your opposing damagers, your opposing characters coming in damaged. That's. I mean, I haven't seen much about this card, and it's not like it's crazy strong, but I think this card's okay. In trying, like, in adding up what this card wants to set up, I think the card's quite good. I still don't believe in what this card's setting up. I don't believe in this damaged character synergy in Emerald with the cards that we've seen before this. But this is a good setup for that synergy. What shift targets do we have?
All I can think of is the 2 cost Queen of Hearts. But like anytime you see shift 3, like you've got Morph. Morph is always a potential card as well. So, and if you're playing a deck with a lot of shift 3s in it, like you could just play Morph.
There's actually also 2 cost uninkable one to Queen of Hearts that like can ping a damaged character.
It pings a damaged character. Right?
Yeah, but that one's not good either. Okay.
Sure. Unless you're pinging something on turn 1, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
And ping, ping, ping. Yeah. So
we have to shift it on something that costs 2, which that definitely makes the card worse.
Yeah. The next card is a card I'm very sad about. I probably talked about this card more than I've talked about any other card this set, only because, my god, I wish this was an Amber Emerald card rather than an Amber Amethyst card. This is a Mirabelle Madrigal, 3 cost inkable, 1/3 quest for 1 with Evasive and Singer 5. And I also looked into this card a lot in terms of what songs are available for this to sing realistically. So I've checked out Amethyst out. There are no songs that cost over 3 in Amethyst besides Second Star to the Right, which is the Sing Together for 10. There is also a Dual Link Amber Amethyst card that does cost 5. It's a song card, which is like fine. But besides that, and then even in Amber, there's only the 7 cost Sing Together, Look at This Family.
Yeah.
There's not even a 5 cost Amber song. So this card, sure, there could be some setup next set, but the funny thing is, the more I think about this, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I don't know if you have mentioned it, but what about there's like a new dual ink.
Yeah, that's the one I said. Yeah, it's like Find a Madrigal or something like that. I don't know. It's like
Family Madrigal. With that, it's really good.
Yeah, but that's it. The whole set. So the funny thing is, then again, I'm going to use the classic Sapphire player technique of, even if this was Amber Emerald, I don't even know if it would go in, but I would sure as hell test it, and it would be fun. Because it's trickier for your opponent to remove. Like, you play this, it basically does the same thing as Aerial, except you don't search for the song. But again, I don't want to talk about hypotheticals if this card isn't actually Emerald, but it just pains me because it would be way more fun to test in my deck, I think, than... I don't really know what you're doing. Like, sure, you get 2 of these Mirabelles and you sing together, draw 5 cards. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Well, I assume they've come to the conclusion that like an Evasive Singer 5 would be like very strong in other color combinations. So maybe they only felt comfortable putting it in the color combination that
it was like
kind
the
of
worst.
Doesn't have good 5 cost, 4 cost songs.
Sure.
And now with the new 5 cost song, I guess they're really trying to give some options for like this Madrigal themed Amber Amethyst decks, and that's cool, I think. And I think it works very well with the new song. But yeah, it would definitely be very strong if you could play it in other color pairs.
For sure.
Oh, I mean, I'm not even sure about that. Actually, let me rephrase that.
It'd be worth testing, I think.
It would be a lot better in other color combinations. Yeah. Even still, 3 cost 1/3 Evasive Singer 5. I'm not even sure how strong it would be.
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying as well, right? Like, I look at this and I'm like, oh, I'll test this. I could come to the conclusion that it's not good in the deck, but it would be fun to test. It's definitely worth considering. The next card's an interesting one. It's Restoring Atlantis. It's a steel action card, 5 cost and inkable. It's not a song, it is just an action. It says your characters can't be challenged until the start of your next turn. What do you think about this? This has some interesting potential in my opinion. It could ultimately be too slow, but if you do pull this off, it seems particularly good. The only real answer is, okay, I have to have like actual action removal. Yeah, right?
Yeah. Well, not just action removal. It could also be like stuff like Medusa, Sisu.
Sure.
But yeah, it has to be some sort of like removal that's not challenge based. Well, it is very expensive and uninkable, so. But yeah, it does something. Like if you're ahead and you have like high questing characters against the deck that doesn't play a lot of removal from hand, could like really lock out a game. I like the one card that definitely pops up in my head when looking at this card is the Robin Hood Sharpshooter for Ruby Steel. And like imagine a Robin quest and you can't even challenge it, and then gets the quest again, and like the rest of the board you also couldn't challenge it.
Wow, that seems pretty cool.
It's like the only real place I can find for it.
For sure, yeah. Awesome. Next one's Gantu, 4-cost and inkable 2/4, quest for 1. Within Steel, has the ability when you play this character, characters can't exert to sing songs until the start of your next turn. And another ability, each player pays 2 ink more to play actions or items. This guy seems cool. Seems like a cool card for sure. It's a bit of a weird one to evaluate. I feel like if we were in a very like, if we were in a very like heavy Amber Steel song meta, this would be like quite good. Although even comparing this to something like a Pete, I think Pete is still overall better just because it's inkable. The stats are like a little bit better, but each player pays 2 ink more to play actions or items isn't irrelevant at all.
Yeah.
But that's a static effect, right? That's not like when it comes into play, so yeah.
Yeah, so even like some action heavy shark decks could really struggle when like suddenly all of the actions are so inefficient. Of course, this is like much more of a commitment putting this into your deck than putting a Pete into your deck. Pete is good on curve, like is okay on curve no matter what. Pete is inkable. Pete's downside is much lower. The upside of in Gantu is uninkable, and it's not a great play when it doesn't. Like it's a much worse play when it doesn't limit your opponent on doing stuff. But what it does do much better than Pete is it can like create a board lock over or kind of a lock onto the board by restricting actions over multiple turns. So it's definitely a cool card still.
Yeah, I mean, I look at any card that increases the costs of your opponent. I think this is the first card we've seen within Lorcana that increases the cost of your opponent's card as like a disruption tool. And that's like nothing to not recognize, right? Like, because you can really disrupt your opponent's plan if they're just not really expecting a Gantu. And as the meta evolves and stuff, sure they can, but like if you're I don't know, like let's say you're planning to even simply either sing How Far I'll Go on a Hiram, or just even hardcast to How Far I'll Go or something like that. Like that's the basic example. You can't do that. If you want to brawl this as well, you're paying 5 to brawl this. So the best way to remove this is probably Medusa. Is like the first thing that kind of comes to mind. And that's 6 compared to this being 4 cost. So like I genuinely think that this card is pretty powerful. It's just going to be interesting to see in what context it's used and what kind of decks it fits into, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's also the part of the problem of this card is it doesn't affect songs that are being sung. So what if your opponent just like sings the strength to remove this or things to do?
You can't. Oh no, because it's the start of your next turn, right? When you play this character, characters can't exert to sing songs until the start of your next turn.
Yeah.
So it just goes after.
I guess it's protected for one turn, and then the turn after they could sing something.
Sure.
Well, the card's okay.
Yeah.
It like almost really makes up for the poor stat line and being uninkable.
Yeah. The next card we have is This Is My Family, 2 cost, uninkable, song with an amethyst. It's gain 1 lore and draw a card. If this card was, honestly, again, if this card was Amber, if this card was Emerald, I'd probably play it in my deck just to try it out because it's a cycle card. It's not great because it's uninkable, but I mean, it's thematic with, like we are saying, the Mirabelle amethyst type of stuff,
Hmm.
amber amethyst. But yeah, this being uninkable is a problem. You also compare this to gathering like knowledge and wisdom,
Mm.
and sure, you're not getting the card, but it's less lore. You could also compare this to another card we'll see soon, which is a 2-cost uninkable draw 3, which isn't a song, sure, but there's a lot of comparisons that can be drawn for this, but it's like a fine card. It's another way of gaining lore that's uninteractable by the opponent,
Hmm.
basically, right?
Um, yeah, it's interesting. I probably like this much better than Gathering Knowledge and Wisdom,
Mm.
because it's like not as bricky,
Mhm.
but still being uninkable on a card that's like you don't want to play this when board still matters a lot. So
Mhm.
like early game, mid game, I would much rather not draw this, and that's a huge downside for a card. It's kind of funny that this card kind of feels like playing playing a sail, a develop your brain,
Mhm.
something like that with a shark on the board. It's like you kind of play a shark to make a lot of the actions in your hand, but that are inkable, feel a little bit like this card, but this card doesn't need the shark for that. Um, I don't think the card's great, but like the card's fine. It's better than Knowledge and Wisdom, I think.
Next one we have is Gaten Moliere. This is just the vanilla 3-cost inkable 3/4 Sapphire quest for 1. The next one is we have Kim's card that she revealed, which I can't say it enough. The art on this card is phenomenal. The art is so good. So this is Mother Gothel. This is a Ruby Amethyst dual link card, 3-cost inkable 1/4 quest for 1. Whenever one of your characters challenges, you may move 1 damage counter from chosen character to chosen opposing character. So the main thing to note about this card is the character that you're challenging with, if that's the character you want to move the damage counter from, it has to have damage on it before the challenge happens, if that makes sense. You can't do the challenge and then use this ability, because of the whenever one of your characters challenges, it happens before the challenge, basically, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's a cool card. Has some potential, like, power in it for sure. It's just I don't really know where it would fit into a current kind of Ruby Amethyst build, if that makes sense. But it's pretty good if there's a couple of cards within the meta that you want to be kind of able to ping quite easily. Like the best example
Mhm.
you can use is you play the 2-cost Mother Gothel, right? Which is a 3/4 that comes in as a 3/1. And suddenly when you attack with this, your 3/1 becomes a 3/2. You ping something for 1, and then you hit it as well. So it's quite interesting. That doesn't have to be that character that you challenge. It can be another character that you're, that could be another character that you're pinging technically. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I could also, even if I don't have a damaged character, right, I could just maybe transfer damage from an
Yep.
opposing character to their followers to banish their followers.
Exactly.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I think the card's definitely interesting and fine. I think maybe the major weakness of this card would be having an early opposing exerted character. Like I think this card could be at its best maybe if I play a turn 3 and one of my two drop characters can challenge already.
Mhm.
Problems like how often does my opponent enable that? Especially because they could easily, if this card becomes meta, they could just like see, okay, I'm playing against red purple. I will not give them a challenge into their on curve Mother Gothel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next one is Kronk. This is a 5-cost inkable 4/4 quest for 2. It is an Amethyst Emerald dueling card. It has a ward, and the effect on this is basically if you were like to discard a card, you don't. Now, this is a card that came up in the discussion that I had with Steve Warner and the game devs on Monday, and they wanted to clarify that this doesn't prevent any cards that as a cost you have to discard a card. So for example, you can't like play a Diablo and like not discard to shift it, or you can't play a Megra, the 3-cost inkable Megra, and not discard a card because that's part of the cost, if that makes sense. But this works quite well with stuff like what's the card we mentioned? Strike a good match is like an example. Like suddenly you're just drawing 2 cards. You don't have to discard a card. There's a Yzma as well. They unveiled, which is like a 2-cost inkable 2/2, like a draw card, discard a card with an amethyst. So it's the same thing. You'll just draw cards. So, it's interesting. It also just prevents your opponent. Like if your opponent's playing this card and you play this, like how are they ever removing this? It's got ward, right? So this is like my worst nightmare as an Amber Emerald player, honestly. But,
yeah. I think the fun thing about this card is like trying to find those ways where you can kind of like a card would make you like one of your own cards would make you discard, and then you just like that suddenly turn cards like Strike a Good Match into like really really efficient draw tools.
Honestly, I kind of just like the general idea of this card though, because if you want to play a deck that's centered around that, you should be like, and this just will sit on the board for a little bit. You should be benefiting from it, like, so, suddenly you're playing a 2-cost inkable song that's drawing you 2, which is like 1 cheaper than friends. You're getting around a lot of kind of negative effects that would be there for yourself, and this is just difficult for your opponent to easily deal with. So
I mean, the 5-cost 4/4 ward quest for 2. It's like the stat line's nothing to laugh at, so that's good as well.
The next card is Cybug. This is a really cool, like, flavorful card. Cybugs are from Wreck-It Ralph, for those of you who don't know. This is a 2-cost inkable 1/2 within Ruby. Quest for 1, and this character gets +1 strength for each other character you have in play. So if you want to play like a crazy swarm deck, feel free to do that. But I don't think the card's very good, but I think thematically it's quite cool. Like you have to have 2 characters on the board for this to be a 2-cost 3/2, which is like not great. For this to be like anyway okay, you'd want to have this at 4 strength most of the time, I think. And that requires you to have 3 characters on the board. So I don't know.
That's a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. Next card is Blue. It's a 6-cost inkable Ruby card. 5/4 stat line, quest for 2. With the ability, your characters with 7 strength or more can't be dealt damage. So it's a cool card. It's a cool effect. Really, really, really protects your Maui Shark if that's what you want to do with it, right?
Sure.
But I think it's a bit too slow, personally. You need to be in a meta where the best way that people are getting rid of your high strength stuff is dealing damage to it, and I think for the most part it's just either hard removal based on like strength or based on like straight up like Maleficent Dragon. We don't talk about Bruno removal stuff like that, rather than I'll just like Zeus your 7 strength card. Even World's Greatest Criminal Mind, like this doesn't stop that from happening. So it's a cool card if you want to just like I think for the casual players, if you want to just play like a big boy deck, like a massive like Ruby Steel deck. Oh sure, it protects your characters a bit. So
the problem for like competitive side of the card is just like you cannot have a 6-cost uninkable
5/4
that only protects it against some of the opposing removal.
Doesn't even protect itself. If it protected itself, that'd be quite cool. But
yeah, that would probably be. I mean, that might actually be strong. But
yeah.
Well, I guess your characters with 7 or more can be that damage. So.
Oh, so you're saying you could buff it with like Lumieres or something like that? That would be funny.
Yeah. Maybe some efficient ways to give it some strength, but the problem is that never really sticks onto your opposing turn, right? But
yeah,
you yourself could have one good challenge, and then maybe your opponent can challenge it back. I guess the most fun side of this card is actually like this theme big guy deck, where because Ruby also has this like if you have higher strength character than your opponents do X, so it kind of fits that theme.
For sure, it's definitely a bit of a magical Christmas lamb card though, in my opinion. The next one's Kenai, the magical bear. It's a 3-cost inkable amethyst card. 1/4 stats, quest for 1. With Challenger 2 and the ability during your turn, when this character is banished in a challenge, return this card to your hand and gain 1 lore. It's a hell of a sealed card, if you ask me. This is like really, really good and sealed. It's just a 3/4 basically with the Challenger, and it'll just keep coming back to your hand.
Oh, right. I remember all those sealed formats with the cards you couldn't challenge. Yeah, outside of that, it's very slow.
Yeah, it's pretty slow outside of that. There's just much better things I think you could be doing. The next one's cool though. The next one's Bagheera. This is a 5-cost inkable 4/3 steel card. Quests for 2. It has Bodyguard and has the ability, which is basically when this character is banished, deal 2 damage to all opposing characters. So it's like grab your swords on a body when it's banished.
To all? No, not to all.
To all, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, to all opposing characters. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's grab your swords.
Are you sure?
I'm nearly positive. Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's actually what it means. I guess my French is bad.
Yeah, so that is what the card is. It's grab your swords on it. So does that change your evaluation of this card, Moyen?
Well, I mean, it was already quite hard to evaluate, even if it would just be one. But all of them, sure. I mean, I'm intrigued by the card now.
Yeah, I mean, like the weird thing about the card is it's quite understated, right? It's a 5-cost inkable 4/3 with Bodyguard. So, but you don't have to play it as a Bodyguard, right? You could just play this as a 5-cost inkable 4/3. Then you could quest for 2, which then it turns into a Bodyguard, and then your opponent has to get through it. But this is like, you think about it, right? You put this onto the board. If your opponent doesn't answer it because they don't want their own board to get blown up, then this will just keep questing for 2, and it will protect their other characters as well.
Well, I mean, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm just scared of the situations where, you know, usually they will have some stuff that gets banished when it's dealt 2 damage, and some stuff that's not. But I think this card will more often than not put the onus into your opposing hands, where they can just challenge with the characters that would get banished, and then the 2 damage AoE doesn't actually banish all that much.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense actually.
So yeah, I mean, I'm still, even now that I've learned it deals 2 to everything, I'm still not convinced. But this card's definitely fine. Like, this is one of the better cards.
Yep, I agree. The next one's Lucky. This is a 3-cost uninkable 1/3 quest for 2 within Sapphire. It's a character. Whenever this character quests, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. You may reveal any number of puppy character cards and put them into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your deck in any order. So yeah, this isn't even on play. This is just on quest. So it's just a puppy deck card. It's cool one for the casuals. The next one is okay.
This just reminds me of the soundbite we were sent about.
Oh yeah, if you got
the quote from last week.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, Brendan, he's not with us this week because he's off, mastering his professional rap career. There's a very, very, very funny clip of Brendan talking about Pluto, and one of our viewers looped it and put a beat to it. It was very, very funny.
Yeah, so. It was like last week. I think you. Wait, was it you?
I was like, oh, is Pluto not a puppy? And he's like, Pluto's a full ass dog, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very, very funny. And the next one's Prince Philip. It's an amber card. It's a 2-cost uninkable 0/5 quest for 1 with Bodyguard as well. This is this is like a worse Baloo in my opinion. And it does cost 2.
Right, I mean, it's 3. Very different than Baloo.
Yeah, but would you play this card? I guess, okay, like, it's a prince.
Well, I'm not playing Baloo in my deck.
No. Would you play this over Baloo in your deck?
I don't know. At least Baloo does something.
Boys, like, can I play neither of them?
Yeah, I would love to play neither of them. Wait, wasn't there like a 2-cost Bodyguard in Steel that some people were considering like a few sets ago? Sleepy. Okay, let's compare this to Sleepy, which was an inkable 0/4 Bodyguard, a quest for 1.
He's a knight as well, right?
Yeah, it was a knight as well, but I mean, okay, yes, it's a different color. It was a steel card, that's an amber card, but
uninkable for 1 extra stat. Ooh.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, that doesn't. I mean, even the Sleepy wasn't played a lot. It was played very, very little by some people that were swearing on Sleepy being okay. I mean, it protects some stuff. It sets up Rapunzel. You can flood the board, but like, no way you're paying the uninkable cost basically just to have a 0/5 instead of a 0/4. And even Sleepy wasn't great. So
that's the funny thing I forget about cards like this, though, is that you can You can challenge you can challenge like a 3/3 with this and then just play Rapunzel to heal us up.
Yeah.
Which is just like it's weird. It's weird. It's a weird playstyle, but it's cool that you could do that type of stuff for sure.
Yeah, like I think Nala is a very fun card in like Amber decks for that reason. The one cost 0 for.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of games where stuff with 0 attack just cannot attack. But I like it that it's possible in this game.
For sure. The next one's Donald. It's a 2-cost uninkable emerald card. It's 1/1. Quest for 2.
If this character is banished, or challenged, I'm not sure, you may put an action that's not a song, maybe in your hand, something like that.
Okay. Any action?
That's not a song.
Oh, that's not a song. Okay.
From your discard, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
actually, I think this was another card I looked at and be like, oh, potential. No, it's just a normal action card. Can't be a song.
Yeah, that's limited for sure.
But
If he...
honestly, maybe there's. I mean, most actions are like most. I'm trying to think of playable actions that aren't.
Well, there's
songs.
definitely some. It's only when this is challenged, not when it's banished.
Okay.
So you can get around this. I mean, there's like fire the cannons, which is a good action, for example.
Sure. Yeah. Interesting, I guess. But...
Your deck plays a very good action.
Yeah, well, you've forgotten me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to get it back. Like, I don't know.
I mean, you would like to get it back. The problem is, an uninkable 2-drop is a card you will sometimes be forced to play on 2, like a decent amount of the time. So
a lot of the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So it needs. How do you get an action into the discard? By playing it. So it needs to be kind of an action that you want to be playing somewhat early.
Yeah, this just doesn't work with it. And then you want your 2-drop to be singing in my deck and stuff, like singing discard songs. So.
Okay, yeah, it's not everything's about your deck.
I'm sorry, I'm too focused on it. No, you're right. You get Fire the Candles back, which is I guess is some kind of synergy. So
it would be something like that. But then I'm like my early game consists of like Fire the Cannons and Donald. Yeah, that's not a great early game. It's a lot of uninkables.
Moyen, do you want to read out the next card? But do you want to tell the viewers what I thought this card said initially?
Sure. So it's it's Kida 4-cost inkable 3/3. I don't even quite remember what it is. It's like a ward, and you can tap it. Look at the top 2 cards, put of your deck. Put one of them into your inkwell face down and exert it, and the other one you leave on the top. Yeah. Right.
I thought this was you put the other one into your hand, which if you could do that, there's some cool stuff you could do with the Ruby Raya, where when you ink, when a card goes into your ink, you get to ready a character. So from activating this key at once, if the Raya's on the board, you can re-ready this. Obviously, Raya has only the once per turn text on it. If it wasn't once per turn, and if this card had draw card, you could literally infinitely ramp and infinitely draw cards, which would be hilarious. But obviously, the game balance team, they know what they're doing, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's also not on the play. You have to wait a turn, then tap it, and tapping only grants you 1 card. If tapping would gain you like a card advantage of 2, then re-readying would be insane. You could like play Fan the Flames. Yep. I guess if it's damaged, or what's the one cost?
Yeah, Fan the Flames. Yep.
1 cost is Fan the Flames.
LeFou,
like all the re-ready stuff, the
Raya,
LeFou,
the shield
song. And then just like do a lot with this, and it sticks a lot. But I think it's very, very slow. Even if almost always it will survive. So you can tap it. It's just very underwhelming to tap it for this ability.
If this had draw a card instead of on the top of your deck, I think this would be a much better card. And it would be...
Sure. Yeah, of course it would be better if it would just be +1 card in comparison.
Yeah, definitely. But
if friends on the other side drew 3 cards, it would be better.
Sure. You're not wrong there. All right, yeah, the next one. And another card that we actually were just discussing. This is Isabella Madrigal. It's a 5-cost uninkable 3/3 quest for 4 with an amber. And this card basically says whenever you sing a song with a character, this character can't be challenged until the start of your next turn. So originally I thought again that this was like the card that sings the song can't be challenged, but no, it's been confirmed that it's just Isabella Madrigal herself who can't be challenged. So It's a bit weird because you need to have another card down. Like, so you need to play this, which is you're playing a 5-cost 3/3 quest for 4, do nothing, like nothing on the play. And then you need to have another character on the board. I mean, you don't have to have another character on the board. Like, you could sing with this and then it's just going to protect itself, but you want to be questing with this because this is quest for 4. So, in a weird way, like, maybe it is okay. You just sing with something and then this gets protected. It can't be challenged, but I just don't see it. It seems a bit too expensive. Seems like it could be still easily removed. And you still have so many factors. You need to have the song in your card in your hand. You need the other character to sing it. But it's not the worst card I've seen, for sure.
Yeah, because it's like you played on 5, then you wait to quest on 6. So on 6 you want to sing something with something that you've played in the first 4 turns.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And then you still like there's stuff that gets around it, like Medusa's type stuff or B prep, whatever. So we're putting a lot of into this, but like, okay, if a 5-drop that quests for 4 and then threatens to quest for 4 again, at times this will be great. But also, what about those games where you are not the aggressor?
Mm-hmm.
Even aggro decks aren't always the aggressor. It's like, okay, then you have this uninkable 3/3 that's bad at challenging. And I guess then it can sing a removal song and protect itself, but it seems just mighty slow.
Yeah, honestly, it actually still seems like it would probably be okay in just like general Amber Steel. I see people playing like a 1-of or something like that, and it might be okay.
Yeah, maybe.
The next card is Grandmere Fa. I don't think that's the actual correct name, but this is the French card. It's a 2-cost inkable ruby card. It's 1/1 stats, quests for 2. And something about +2 strength that I have no idea.
When this character quests, you may choose one of your characters to gain 2 strength.
Okay.
Until the end of your turn.
Oh, okay. You know what? It's not the worst. It's not the worst common card I've seen.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
If we're going to bring rarity into this, but it's a 2-cost 1/1.
Yeah, it's a 2-cost 1/1. Cost for 2. So the next one, Moyen, right? So this one's funny to me to ask you about. So this is Out of Order. It's a 7-cost inkable ruby card. It's just an action. It just says banish chosen character. So Moyen was telling me when he was cooking up, doing some testing with the DKP list, he was like, "Oh, maybe a 1-of Energy Blast is like really good in the mirror match because you get to banish."
It was really good in the mirror.
Banish
it was really good.
Banish the opposing player's shark and draw a card. Would you play this card in that deck?
Well, I hate Let It Go, but my Let It Go might still be better than this card. The strength of the Energy Blast was gaining a card advantage. Then, of course, uninkability hurts, but I don't think I would play this in any deck.
Sure. Next card we've got Company. It's a 3-cost uninkable ruby action card. Ready all your characters. They gain Reckless this turn. So this is interesting. It's like kind of a way to like protect your full board, but then if your opponent has a single card that's exerted, you can't. You know what I mean? You're not really then protecting them again. But this is just a weird one to evaluate in my opinion, as I don't really know what type of deck this would go into. I mean, I even used to play, like, you remember back in set 2, Moyen, I made that like Ruby Amethyst aggro deck that was all about like LeFou and Arthur and like readying stuff up, protecting it, and like questing again. I don't even think that this card would make the cut in that deck, and that deck was about readying stuff, right? So
yeah. So I mean, to break this card, you would need like multiple good tapping abilities. And that just seems like a lot of hoops to jump through.
Or I guess a deck that wants to sing a lot as well, maybe.
Sure, it could profit off that as well. But I think like good tapping ability would be the most powerful stuff you could do with this. Or you could play this in conjunction with Who's With Me.
What's Who's With Me? Is that the big steel one?
No, Who's With Me is also a ruby action from set 5.
Okay.
3-cost inkable. Your characters get +2, and when a reckless character challenges, you gain 2 lore. And
Oh,
suddenly all
wow.
of your characters are reckless. And then bam!
Magical
Gain it all.
Christmas land, Moyen.
So all of your characters quest, re-ready all of them, give them reckless, and then when a reckless character quests gain 2 lore, bam!
I honestly thought you were going to suggest playing that massive 10 cost uninkable steel song, which is like, is that deal 3 to... No, that's like deal 3 to 3 things, I think.
Oh, the mob song.
The mob song, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, sure, I guess you could re-ready your stuff and sing the mob song. That seems a lot less exciting.
Okay, sure.
I mean, sure, this is probably a meme. It is definitely like a meme synergy that we've got company who's with me, but it could be fun.
I know why you like this. I know why you like this, Moyen. It's only because Lyle is on the art. It's the only reason. It's because Lyle is on the card.
I didn't say I like this.
Oh. Okay, the next one is Elsa. This is a Blurple dual link card. It's a 7 cost linkable 5/5 quest for 2. Has shift 4. Whenever this character quests, you may exert chosen character. If you do, and you have a character named Anna in play, the chosen character can't ready at the start of their next turn. If you're shifting this, it seems okay. If you're paying 7 for this, it just seems really bad because you're not even getting the... Like, if you're shifting this, you can get the ability technically immediately because the card will kind of come in ready and you can quest. If you're just playing this for 7, my god, this is very, very slow.
Yeah, if you're playing this for 7, then you're living in an alternate universe.
Yep.
And if you're shifting this, you have to play like one of the cheaper Elsas, which are also not great. There's like the best one's like a 2 cost 2/3. It's inkable.
That's 3 cost 3. It's a 3 cost 2/3, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Yep.
No, that's a 2 cost 2/3, but I think maybe it's a card we haven't looked at yet.
Okay, cool. Yep.
Yeah, very slow.
Next one's Moana. It's a 4 cost inkable 4/3 quest for 1 ruby card with evasive. Whenever this character challenges another chosen character of yours gets +3 strength this turn. A lot of people were looking at this. I don't want to say a lot of people, but I saw some people on Twitter and they were like, oh, the genie killer. It's a 4 cost 4/3 with evasive. Bam.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, sure, but yeah. I think if my opponent plays a genie and I'm killing it with this, probably okay. I'm probably happy enough because my opponent will then probably just play like an Elsa or something to take this out, or I don't know. It just what do you think about this in comparison to something like, because like this isn't gonna attack immediately, so you don't get the +3 strength immediately, but +3 strength isn't nothing either. So you could trade up with like a lower cost card after this challenges potentially. But it's kind of meta dependent, right? If you want a 4 cost 4/3 evasive in your deck, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not even with Genie. I don't feel like we just want to play 4 cost 4/3s. I mean, giving +3 strength is nice. It's like a grab effect on the challenge. So it would need to be like a combination of getting use out of this effect and this deadline being okay for the meta. Yeah, but personally, I doubt it.
You know what I'd love? I'd love if this card didn't have the another on it. So if this was whenever this character challenges, another character, chosen character of yours gets +3 strength.
Sure.
Because
so
then you can make this a
7?
7/3. Oh, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, you could challenge locations, challenge sharks.
Well, no, you couldn't, right? Because this is whenever this character challenges, you'd have to target another character. Right.
Sure, it could. I mean, they could have also made it where it's like whenever this character challenges.
Sure. They could have. But hey, game balancing. They put stuff there for a reason, I guess. The next one's Amethyst Coil. It's a 3 cost uninkable Amethyst item. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may move 1 damage counter from chosen character to chosen opposing character. Hey, this looks like a bad coil compared to another coil that is pretty good.
Well, I mean, I like that the like okay, there's some like amethyst or ruby amethyst decks that are like a lot more about having your stuff be damaged and moving the damage, and for that deck it's like okay.
Yeah. I think
it's just that deck hasn't been good yet, but
I'd still play the 1/4 we talked about earlier than this, I think. That was inkable. It's a body. Sure, the condition isn't as easy as just inking, but it just seems way better than this card.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking it's like kind of powerful to like move a damage each turn if you have something that's damaged, for example. But yeah, I mean,
maybe
it's a deck that's never been good, but
yeah. Okay, the next one. The next one is the card everyone's talking about. We talked about it on the discussion with Steve. Sapphire Coil, 2-cost inkable Sapphire item. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may give chosen character -2 strength this turn. Can I just ask one thing, Moyen? Why is this inkable in your mind? Like, do you think this could have been uninkable? Like, could this have been uninkable?
Sure, it would not see play. Probably.
Okay, sure.
I mean, my bigger... Okay, so the question of is this inkable kind of makes sense when you compare it to the other coils, right?
Mm-hmm.
My issues isn't really as much with the Sapphire coil. My issue is kind of with the other coils. I think why are the most or almost all of the other coils so bad?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of makes this look like the standout coil, right? Which out of the coils it is. But a lot of people feel like I'm in the conversation is a lot about this, like just being insane. I don't think it's that. It's like the setup cost of a 2-cost item is so much bigger than that of a 1-cost item, like more than twice as much.
Yep.
It's great that it's inkable and has some like good applications to like setting up Ball, Medusa, Sisu, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is I guess it's like a Ruby Sapphire card or an Emerald Sapphire card. Those are like the two ink colors that have removal based on strength that can really take advantage of this, right? That's where the strength of this is coming from. Because you could say maybe if it wasn't for strength-based removal, giving something strength, like the Ruby coil, could be stronger than reducing strength. There's more applications for giving strength, but because that's really why the Sapphire coil is so strong, because of the combinations with Emerald or Ruby. But like it's not easy to find a turn to play this. You can play turn 1. I think you want to ramp turn 2 still. Maybe that at some point changes, but it's like really difficult to see that. Ramping on 2 is really, really strong. We have really, really efficient ways of ramping on 2. And then later, any turn where you do set this up is like kind of a big tempo setback, and then you have to really capitalize on the strength of this. So like this, you will definitely want to experiment with this in like some control red blues, or maybe even some like item heavy green blues. But I think this card's good. I'm not. I don't know. I've already seen people talking about bans and everything. It's like, are you guys out of your mind? Even if this card was strong, I feel like we're at no point for the cards are even out where we should be talking about these things. But
yeah. I think also like the power of this card that people are saying, the lines of like, play this on 2 into a brawl or a like, small Sisu, people are saying like the power of that. I'm like, sure, but like that's, in my opinion, that's like, I don't think people realize how much of a different, it's not that it's a different deck that this goes into, but the cards in current Ruby Sapphire lists are so tight, in my opinion, that it nearly is a different deck if that's the stuff that you're trying to be doing. Like if your plan is play this on 2, do Sisu on 3, it has to be a different deck because you're not ramping, you're not going for that game plan. So like you could build something like that and build a different version if you feel like you want to go all in on this and you don't want to do the ramp. But I do agree with you that I think ramping on 2 is just way better than establishing something like this.
It's really interesting. You could of course have both in your deck, ramp and this on 2, and then some of the games against where you like need to be more proactive, you ramp on 2. Some of the games you will just play the item on 2 and then react to what your opponent's doing. Like, I don't know, play Coil on 2, Sisu or Brawl on 3, maybe play Rush Goofy into Rush Maui, they barely take any damage, then like shift Sisu or something, or Medusa. And sure, I guess that's powerful. But then when building your deck, you have to like put a focus onto your deck. I'm not sure you can just play this hybrid between playing item on 2 or ramp on 2, or your deck could get like a little bit. It couldn't be. Maybe it's not streamlined enough then. And then what if you play against another blue deck, and they're not playing an item on 2, they ramp on 2.
Yep.
And suddenly they don't even have a character on the board.
Yep.
And like you're stuck with all of this targeted removal that's strength based, and they're just like ramping to like really powerful stuff that's maybe you can't keep up with, no matter if you can remove the stuff that they're playing, because maybe they play like dimes type stuff, or like they ramp and then discard your hand, and
Yep.
like I don't know. So I mean, I think this I like this card, but I don't see it as like a massive issue or anything.
That's a very valid point. Yeah, if you're doing this and your opponent's just ramping instead and isn't establishing characters, you're behind, in my opinion. You're definitely behind.
Or the other thing is they're going wide, and on turn 3 you can remove something, and then like on 4, 5, 6 you'd never ramped. But they like went wide on the board, and you just played single target removal for a while after playing an item or two. Like you could still easily, they could still easily go under that.
Yep, definitely. The next one is Emerald Coil, 3 cost uninkable emerald item. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, chosen character gains evasive until the start of your next turn. It's a cool card. Cool card, powerful card in my opinion. Again, like it probably fits into, in my opinion, it probably fits into blue-green the easiest if you want to have some item synergy, if you want to be ramping. If you're ramping enough that you can kind of afford to just play this and stuff. I don't know if you want to be playing this on 3. It doesn't seem great, but like you can't deny that the ability of it is powerful. It's just how are you going to kind of utilize it in a certain way?
For me, it's like like the item itself is very expensive. Like 3 cost uninkable that doesn't do anything on 3 because you still need to ink, and then I don't think this is like the payoff of this worth it.
If you play this in like one of the item decks though, that like you're getting items for free or whatever, this is not a bad one to pull. You know what I mean?
Sure, if you're playing like an Oswald type deck, or sure. But even then, it's uninkable.
Sure.
The Oswald item deck can't play that many uninkables.
The next one's Dawson. It's 1 cost, uninkable, 1/2, and Sapphire. Quest for 1. Once during your turn, whenever a card's put into your inkwell, you look at the top card of your deck. You may put it either on the top or the bottom of your deck. Merlin synergy. Woo! No. I just don't think you're really playing this card. It just seems.
Yeah.
It just seems bad. It really seems bad.
Well, I like that. I mean, I guess it's another way to set up for like the turn 1 Merlin. Turn 1 Merlin, then you play Dawson, Ink, and then Quest, and then you know the card, and you go bam, ramp, do something else.
Sure. So like what if you're playing Blurple, this is one of your 1-drops, so if you go like that and then go 1-drop on turn 2. Yeah, that is better than Ursula's Cauldron, I'll give you that. Yeah. So yeah, okay. Yeah, we're seeing a use for the card at least, which is cool. Next one's Hey. This is just the vanilla steel cards. 1 cost inkable, 2/2. Love the art on this. This is a relevant card though, because we do have a shift target for Hey coming up soon. Oh, sorry, yeah, this is the Isma I was talking about. It's not Amethyst, it's Emerald. It's 2 cost inkable, 2/2 quest for 1. When you play this character, you may draw a card, then choose and discard a card. So synergizes well with the Kronk. I'm really sad about this Emerald Legendary. I feel like Emerald gets some really bad legendaries. I think ever since they gave us Diablo, they were like, okay, you guys are gonna be fine for the next like 5 sets. Let's just give you some crap. This is it's a Lady Tremaine, 6 cost uninkable, 3/3, quest for 2. With the top ability, return chosen damaged character to their player's hand. Then each opponent discards a card at random. Make this on play at least. Like, if this was on play, it's still probably not great, but like it's better than it being tap.
If you have enough damaged opposing characters, this is really good with re-readying things. It's like discard, bounce, discard with every re-ready. But I still think the damaged character part is like a big issue.
Or like give this, if this has to stick to the board, give it like a little bit more survivability. Like I feel like this comes down to your opponent's just like, okay, I'll just kill this.
Yeah, and the thing is, so if there's a 6 cost uninkable, and if you play it and they remove it, then you cry and maybe don't play Lorcana for the day. And if they don't remove it, maybe they have a damaged character that you can mount. Okay, maybe you build your deck in a way where you can damage something, sure, but like those cards are usually not great.
Oh, yeah, because I'm trying to think of doing like the Raya stuff if you're playing this in like Ruby Emerald, where you do like Raya to like re-ready this and stuff. But they have to have two damage character. I mean, they don't have to have the damage
That's the
characters.
new action, the two cost action that deals 1 damage to 2 things.
That's in
and then
Steel,
you play
right?
that? Oh, is it?
It's a Steel, yeah.
Okay, then we play Mosquito Bite.
But yeah, like what I'm saying, like the thing to notice, like, is this isn't that you don't have to bounce your opponent's stuff. You could bounce your own stuff, which just you're basically losing tempo unless it's a good on play effect. You also need to damage your own thing first. Because
Sure. So I can bounce my own thing and make them discard still.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It'd be nice if it wasn't so bad, right? Like, I don't know. I look at cards like this and like, sure, like it's fun and like I'm sure they tested a version of this card that was on play. Maybe it was too broken. I can't imagine it was that crazy. I really can't imagine it was that crazy, but maybe it was. It's just funny to me. The next card is Beagle Boys. It's a Ruby Sapphire card. It's 4 cost inkable 3/3 quest for 2. Whenever this character quests, chosen character of yours gains Rush and Resist +1.
Okay. Well, you know what part of the problem I have with this card is?
Mm-hmm.
If I play this on 4 ink, I have 5 ink after.
Mm-hmm.
Best 5 ink card in this color combination kind of has Rush already.
Yep.
So okay, I mean there's some stuff that's like when it challenges that does something, but like the Aladdin from good old times, but
oh yeah,
I don't know. I mean, Chris, I know it's not good enough.
I'll say in Ruby Sapphire they love this stat line though. My God, the amount of 4 cost 3/3s, either quest for 1 or quest for 2. There's so many of these cards.
Infinite.
Yep.
And most of them are better than this.
Yep. The next one is Restoring the Crown. It's an Amethyst Steel action, 6 cost uninkable. Exert all opposing characters. Whenever one of your characters banishes another character in a challenge this turn, gain 2 lore. This, I'm sorry, I'm just remembering your silly Ruby card where you like give everything reckless and then play another card to get. This is just better than that, is what I can see.
Well, with my card combination, they only had to challenge, not banish.
Okay, that's true.
But
this is just too expensive, right? This is so expensive.
Also, this feels like it's more tailored for Ruby Steel's identity than Amethyst Steel's. I feel like with Amethyst Steel, I'm just like playing cards that do something when I play them, and then they also maybe do something when they leave.
Sure, but I think the reason why it's there is like I can actually clearly see the two parts of it, which is the Amethyst part is exerting all opposing characters, and the Steel part is basically like Calhoun's text, right? Whenever one of your characters banishes the character challenge, gain 2 lore.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, so while this card has part of Amethyst's identity and parts of Steel's identity, combining them has nothing to do really with Amethyst Steel's identity.
Sure, but that depends what you think. Like it. So, but okay, I'll give a little bit of context because this could be this could be the exception card. When they talked about dual links, there's 4 dual links in each pairing. They said 3 of them they want to synergize together, and that should be kind of doing what they think, whatever they imagine Amethyst Steel to kind of be doing. And then they said the 4th one is going to be kind of a unique piece. So, for example, the Ink Geyser is the card that doesn't necessarily synergize with the other ones, but it's like a unique piece. So this could be that unique piece.
Right. I mean, I don't even think it's the unique piece, right? Because it kind of, I mean, maybe. It's just very expensive. And in Amethyst Steel, I don't even care that much about wanting to challenge all the time.
Sure.
I think.
Yep. The next one's Gizmo Duck. It's a 4 cost inkable 4/3 Emerald Steel dual link with resist +1, and this character can challenge ready damaged characters. Hey, they love the damaged characters. This card's still kind of cool though. I still kind of like this card, but I just I mean, if you're playing Emerald Steel, sure, it's going to be easier to damage opposing characters because you've got some steel elements. Yeah. Honestly, I would like to see some people mess around with this card because it seems
It's a fun
interesting,
card, sure.
seems fun, but there's no.
I mean,
Yeah.
4/3 resist 1 is also, it's not that bad.
It's okay stats, yeah.
And then some upside, sure.
Next one's Honey Lemon within Sapphire, 2-cost inkable, 2/2 quest for 1. Whenever you play a Floodborn character, if you used Shift to play them, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. Grandpappy Moyen, it's the only thing I can think of that this is gonna fit into.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
We have better Sapphire cards to talk about, luckily. Yep.
Yeah, luckily. Oh no, Sapphire gets a bad card. Oh no. Yeah. Next one's a Mickey Mouse. It's Steel Legendary, 2-cost and inkable, 1/1 quest for 1. During your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, you may play a character for free. I mean, it's just a bit of the meme dream, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's much better than the Trumpeteer.
Yes.
That was like people. I think some people also went crazy about the Trumpeteer, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
But this one, I mean, I don't know. It's like, okay, I guess sometimes my opponents will no longer be questing because they're like afraid. Maybe I play this on 2. What if I play a crab on 3 and like play something huge off the challenge?
Sure.
But then, is it really the end of the world for them if they don't challenge? But you know what's the best card to pair with your Mickey Mouse?
Is it Cogsworth?
No. The best card is One Last Hope.
Oh, the challenge ready characters?
Plus 2 challenger, and if it's a hero, they can challenge ready characters. So suddenly, even if they don't exert, I just play One Last Hope on 3 and cheat out something. That's kind of the problem. No matter what I cheat out, I never see it as this huge thing that pays off me putting all this effort into doing it.
The biggest thing you need to cheat, because I agree. It's like the biggest thing that you can kind of cheat out needs to also be a card that you can reliably play within the game plan of your decks. Like, I'd say, for example, right, like maybe cheat out a legendary Robin Hood, or cheat, which is funny because legendary Robin Hood is shift 3, so you probably play it on 3 anyways. That's probably a bad example, but like,
not that.
you know, a 5-cost card or a 6-cost card that fits into your deck that you might play anyways. That's all I can really imagine, because you're not going to be playing anything else.
No, I want like
don't say Goofy. No, don't say
that
Goofy.
I'm never playing that like wins me the game when I cheat it out on 3. Like a
Chernobog?
Mufasa, ruler of Pride Walk.
Okay.
Maybe a Chip and Dale where like gives me card advantage, or like a Tamatoa or something like that. But even with all of those, I could easily see my opponent come back into the game. And then when I don't get it off, I play I still. You can never like not play it, and then you have like this 1/1 uninkable, and some decks will like be very efficient at dealing with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
it's a fun card, anyways.
The last
maybe the new TK. Oh, but it's a different color combination.
It's this Ruby Amethyst card, yeah.
Okay, but that would be fun. Cheating out the TK, then tapping stuff.
That would have been fun, yeah. Next card's Minnie Mouse. It's an Amber legendary 2-cost inkable 1/2 with the ability whenever you play a character, this character gets +1 lore this turn. It's notable she has 0 lore, so she comes with nothing. So you're without reading the other part, you're playing a 2-cost uninkable 1/2 quest for 0. You have to play a character to give this a single lore. The other part of the ability is whenever this character quests, chosen opposing character loses strength equal to this character's lore until the start of your next turn. So you just play this in like the most swarmy, Stitch Rockstar Amber deck you can find, right?
The Stitch Rockstar Pride Lands, play 1,000,000 1-drops, quest for 20, GG.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the only deck I would play then. It would be fun in that deck.
All right, the next card we have is Fidget. It's a 4-cost inkable 2/3 quest for 2. It's an Emerald Ruby Duel Link card, and I have no idea what it does, Moyen.
It's when this character quests, choose one of your other characters who gains a keyword until
starting next turn, right?
Start of opposing next turn.
Evasive. It's gotta be evasive, right?
Yes, it's also the keyword that it has. which
Yeah, it's evasive. Because I'm pretty sure I talked to you guys about this in the chat, which was like, God, I remember when we played like this card.
yeah.
It was Pongo, right? Pongo. Except this is, I mean, obviously this isn't just a Ruby card. This is when it quests, you give something else evasive till the start of the next turn. I mean, Pongo was good as set 1.
I mean, Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
There was also a Pongo with upside that was good. But Tinkerbell's upside might be better than this, and I can play it in all Emerald decks.
Was Tinkerbell gives evasive just for your turn?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it does it like on the play, so you can catch people off guard. And then with this. This is also until.
Yeah, this is until the start of your next turn.
Until the start of your next turn. Okay, so you can actually protect something for a turn. So okay. Sure. Then this card's fine. It's still not great, right? But then this card at least is better than Tinkerbell, or
sure
has reasons to play this over Tinkerbell in some cases.
Next one is Li Shang, so Ruby Steel, dual lane card, 3 cost, Inkable 2/3, quest for 1.
This character can challenge ready characters, and when this character is damaged, he gets +2 strength.
Okay.
So that's a very, I mean, okay, it's uninkable, but 3 ink is very little to pay for a character that can challenge ready characters, I feel like.
I agree.
So this is really good for Ruby Steel. You can give this resist, you can re-ready it to challenge multiple things.
Well, this is what Ruby Steel needs, because Ruby Steel is so predicated on challenging, like for its entire engine. If you want to draw cards, if you want to gain lore, if you want to do whatever, it's so predicated on that. So yeah, this seems like a solid card. Like, sure, the stats are like a little bit weak. It's a 2/3, 3 cost, Inkable. But depending on the deck that you're playing against, like if your opponent doesn't want to remove this, then the next card they play is vulnerable to be challenged. And then you could play stuff like, you could give this extra strength with giving it a challenger in some way. This is a menace against against Prince John, right? This just absolutely annihilates Prince John.
Or old Bucky.
They were just waiting to print this card to deal with old Bucky.
Bucky didn't survive until the Tales of Li Shang.
Yeah.
And also, I guess because you are the one that can challenge active characters, right? So they can't trade this super easily because you won't exert it. And then if they ever give like this a good value trade, then after that it has 4 strength and it's hard to challenge back into. This is really good against this makes it so your opponent can't leave up, or they can't play these purple 1-drops that replace themselves. Like they can't just play a Broom or followers and expect them to survive when you have a Li Shang on the board.
I agree, yeah.
But still, uninkable is tough for this card. But other than that, this card does a lot of things well.
The next one is a 7 cost uninkable Amber Emerald card. 2 strength, 6 willpower, quest for 2. And I think I remember the abilities of all of the Amber Emerald duel links, because I know how bad they are. This one is like, for each character you have in play, it costs 1 less to play this character. And then it's something about discarding, right?
When you play this character, you may draw a card for each of your other characters in play. But after that, you have to also discard that same amount.
So, this is funny because we mentioned how cool the Kronk was. But Kronk is Emerald Amethyst, so you can't even play Kronk with this to negate its effect. So, this is just like cycle and get rid of stuff. If you've no hand, this is terrible, right?
Yeah. Well, if you have 7 characters on the board,
true,
then it's a 0 cost. Draw 7, discard 7. That's pretty good.
Is it for draw how many of you for the other characters you have, right? So it'd be draw 6. Yeah.
No, I mean if you have 7 others, this costs 0.
7 others, correct. Yes.
Yeah. But I guess at what point am I happy to play this? How many characters do I need to have on the board?
7.
No, that's not true. If you could play like a 3 cost 2/6 quest for 2 that draws 4, discards 4, that would be great.
Yeah.
For 4, it would be already like decent or pretty good. So if you like 3 other characters.
Would it, like, for 4, would it really?
I mean, that's okay. For 4, it would be okay, but for 3, that would be like well above rate.
Yeah, I don't know about this drawing X amount of cards and then discarding X amount of cards. I guess it is good if you have other cards.
Yeah, it just like helps you filter for like the cards you actually want. I mean, the problem is getting that many in modern Lorcana, getting this many characters onto the board.
Yeah, this is just go like. But can you really afford to play a card like this in the Stitch deck? You probably just do. It's the only deck I can imagine it going into is the crazy Stitch deck, right?
Maybe. And then also, the problem is like, even if it's good rate at some point, it's still a card that you play when you've already won the board that gets wiped by the same card that your white board would already be getting wiped by, right?
Yep.
Let's say you're afraid of like a big Sisu and you have like a white board. I don't want to add this.
Yeah.
Or like maybe a B prep or something. It's like, this doesn't protect you against anything. This dumps another card into the board that maybe filters your hand for another good card. This works well with Churnaborg. You get cards into my discard and then discard my Churnaborgs and find them.
Sure, that's true. Yeah, I'm also trying to think about like if you actually play like 1-drop, what's the earliest you can get this out? It is still turn 4.
Well, I mean, unless
with a 0 cost card.
I play Pluto, and then I play Pluto on 1,
and then you play 3 1-drops.
Then I play 3 1-drops, and then
bam,
I can play it. Unless my opponent banishes one of my characters.
I mean, you have to exert Pluto to do that, so they've got to be exerting Pluto or banishing Pluto. Yeah. Okay, funny weird card. Anyways, next one is Helga Sinclair. It's a steel card. It's 2 cost and inkable 0/4. Challenger +3. Quest for 1. During your turn, this character gains evasive. If this was just your character had evasive, this is a cool card, honestly.
Sure, yeah. But it's a 0/4.
It's a 0/4.
That doesn't have evasive on the opposing turn.
Yep.
And
you also need to think about
it's uninkable.
Yeah, you need to think about evasive cards that have 3 willpower. There's not too many in the meta I can really think of right now.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't need to banish evasives. Maybe just changes something.
Honestly, this does contest a coved Diablo, I guess.
Sure, right? And it's a pretty good Rapunzel enabler. Like it's one of the best 2-cost Rapunzel enablers I guess we have. But it's still bad.
It's still bad, unfortunately. Yep. Next one's Treasure Guardian. 4 cost inkable 3/3. Quest for 2. When you play this character, if you have an illusion character in play, you may draw a card. Well, we already know that there's only like. Do you know that there's only like 3 illusion characters in the whole set so far?
I mean, you probably know, but do you know what card this reminds me of?
Dolores Madrigal.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is way better than this card.
Basically, never saw play.
And it was it's better than this card, and it still never saw play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dolores was a sealed monster. Let me tell you, she was good. Next, we've got Mulan, Disguised Soldier. It's a steel card, 1 cost inkable 2/1. Quest for 1. When you play this character, you may draw a card, then choose and discard a card. So this is just like reverse Simba. Which is cool. If you want to have a 2/1 instead of a 1/2, it's pretty cool.
So which stat line do you prefer?
Yeah, and Simba's a prince, right? Isn't he?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so if you want a prince or a princess.
But do you want a Simba or a Mulan? They both have like shift options, right?
Yep. So it's nice to have a decision.
Yeah, but which stat line is better?
Now?
Yeah? Or like which in general in Lorcana? I mean, I guess if there's a lot of pings.
Well, if there's a lot of pings, it's the 1/2, and if there's not a lot of pings, it's the 2/1.
Yeah, I mean, 2/1, but like 2, I think. Okay, if there's a lot of pings, of course, 1/2 is better than 2/1s, but right now I think 2/1 is like infinitely better than 1/2s.
I agree.
It's like 1/2 tickles anything that my opponent does.
Yep.
2-1 actually contests a lot of stuff. So I like this card a lot. It's good for Sapphire Steel Pleakley decks.
Yep, it is.
It's good for Mulan shifts. It's just pretty decent one drop.
Yeah, but the thing is now, I mean, we haven't gotten to the card yet, but are you really playing this on one in your Sapphire Steel deck, Moyen, or are you playing something better on turn 1?
Well, not having talked about the other card yet, I love this card.
Okay, sure. The next one's Cogsworth. This is a 3-cost inkable 3/3 Ruby card. Quest for 1. When you have an item card in play, this character gets +2 strength. This card's okay, honestly.
This card's awful.
You don't like this card?
I mean, not even sure I would play a 3-cost 5/3.
Would you play this in like Ruby Steel even? No?
No.
No?
No, I mean they don't even play items. Mostly.
Is this weirdly okay? It's probably not. Is this weirdly okay with Flynn if you want to do
like item on 1, Flynn on 2, Cogsworth on 3?
Yeah, like maybe.
That just sounds like a worse Sisu.
Sure.
A worse Flynn Sisu opening.
Sure. I don't know, yeah, but maybe you want to do that. Next one's oh my god. So this is Fix It Felix Jr., but in French it's Felix Fixe Jr. It's 5-cost inkable 4/4 quest for 2. And I could see it mentions pilot twice, which is pilot is racer in French, clearly. So
That's
something about racers.
When you return a race character from your discard to your hand, you may ready chosen racer character. They can't quest that turn.
Wait, when you return, so this doesn't do the returning. You have to return it some other way.
Yeah.
What?
But when you do, you can ready a racer.
Oh my god!
Just get to quest. So for this we really need to look at how can we return racers.
Yeah, this is the King Candy in Amber Ruby that we saw, the dueling card that returns a racer card. I think that's 4-cost.
There's a Calhoun.
Yep.
When it like the 6-cost 5/5 shift 4, when it challenges, we return a racer.
When it challenges, so it doesn't even fit into this one unless you do the shift line before. I guess if you do the shift line and then play this and then challenge, bam. But no, you know what? I can't call it awful until I try the racer deck, but I'm gonna call it all awful anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Next one's Cheshire Cat. It's an emerald card, 5-cost inkable 4/3 quest for 2. When you play this character, you may deal 2 damage to chosen damaged character.
Oh, to a damaged character. It's a 5-cost?
Yeah.
Why does it cost 5?
Now, if this is when you play this character, you may deal 2 damage to all opposing damaged characters. It's still, I mean, it'd be better, but it still wouldn't be good.
Yeah, and it would be a Flatborn, and then you go Bogo Cheshire.
Bogo, let's go. Yeah. Oh look, it's our 2 cards we revealed. Woo!
Yeah.
The best cards from set 7. You heard it here. I
really tried to be like positive last week.
Yep.
It was not easy.
It was very funny how you led from like saying like, oh, Maurice in, a non-Ruby Sapphire deck, and that Maurice's machine isn't Ruby Sapphire. So, yeah. The next one's Baymax. It's 5-cost inkable 3/5 within Sapphire. Quest for 1 has support. When you play this character, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a Floodborn character card, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Cool effect. Honestly, a 5-cost 3/5 with support is like, I mean, we've seen that stat line on Happy, I think, which was an Amber card, and I think that's all the card had was support. So like that alone is, I don't know, like it's probably still not great, but it's okay. I actually just trying to think about I don't know if you would even play this card, because you'd have to play it in a deck with a high amount of Floodborns in it. But what color combination do you think this would go into with, like, initial impressions?
Yeah, I'm not playing this.
But if you did.
If I did play this, and with what color would I pair this?
Yep.
I don't know. Emerald plays Floodborns, has like a Floodborn team.
Sure. I'd probably play with Emerald as well, and you got like because you've got Morph, and you just put in a bunch of Floodborns, and it's like if you want to make it as consistent as possible, and you've got that Yokai that discounts shifts. But yeah, it's on theme, I guess. But yeah, I don't think it's great. Next is Basil in Emerald at 6 cost Inkable 3/6 quest for 3. Whenever this character quests, opposing damaged characters gain Reckless during their next turn. Yeah, this is. I mean, we've seen this stat line already on like the set 1 Maleficent, which was a 5 cost, and for 1 extra cost, I don't think this effect is very good.
Yeah, well, it's the definition of slow, which is like the turn after you play this, after it has already survived, it does something, and even that effect's not even great for that stat line.
Amber Coil, 1 cost inkable amber item. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. Yeah, it's just is what it is.
But it's better than some of the other coils because it costs 1. It's inkable.
Yeah. It does.
Just you have to somehow make the healing matter.
Yeah, it is an easier way to heal stuff. But again, it's actually being able to damage your stuff is the problem if you're playing that kind of healing deck. Ruby Coil, which I actually think is quite a cool card. 2 cost inkable ruby item. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, chosen character gets +2 strength this turn. Quite cool against locations. I think it's quite a cool location card. Is this better? I don't know if you can really compare them, but like even this compared to like is it Maui's Fishhook?
Yeah. Well, I think the card that I would rather compare this to is the Ruby Chromicon.
Oh, Ruby Chromicon, yeah, sure.
Yeah, which just like tap it to give something +1 strength. And that card, like, if you go from Ice Block to Coil, and I'm not even hyping up Coil, but if you go from Ice Block to Coil, it goes from uninkable to inkable. So it's like a card that's already seen play, and that double the cost, double the effect but on the requirement of inking. So you can do it multiple times a turn, but it's also different because you might not always want to ink every turn. Like it gains the inkability. Ruby Chromicon is not very playable. It snuck its way into some red-blue decks by lesser experienced players. No, I mean it was played in some red-blue decks, but it was already inkable. We cannot pay to double the effect, even if I mean the stronger part is okay. You can give +2 twice in a turn when it's important, but I don't see it being important enough.
Then a Steel Coil. During your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may draw a card and then choose and discard a card.
I like that we finally have some more Sheriff of Nottingham support. Oh
yeah, sure. The OTK Green Steel Beast thing with the Bayou and like it's a bit too much in my opinion. Lyle Tiberius Rourke, Ruby card, 8 cost, inkable 6/4 quest for 3. Once during your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, deal 2 damage to each character in play. So, I actually saw somebody say that they didn't like that this was in Ruby because they felt like Ruby shouldn't be able to like damage opposing stuff. But I'm like, this damages opposing stuff and your own stuff, so it's kind of along the lines of the self-damaging stuff. It's also really, really, really expensive.
Yeah, like thematically it fits, and it's not like overpowered at all. I think
it's also each character in play. So this itself is taking 2 damage, so you're gonna be left with a 6/2.
6/2. So maybe if you can, I mean, I would love to heal this back up and then have this be a menace and like deal 2 damage every turn, but I don't know if I mean, I'm not playing this with Amber because it costs 8, so I probably have to play this with Sapphire.
Yep.
But then in Sapphire, do I really play stuff that heals this just to like deal 2 damage? Like,
well, you say stuff that heals this. It's like a popsicle will heal this once.
Sure.
Right.
I guess popsicle is a very efficient way to heal this.
Yep.
So what else do we have?
The Gumbo Pop.
Yeah, the Gumbo Pop I don't like that it costs 2, but I know that's okay. The Magic Golden Flower.
Yeah.
It's a lot worse than Pop.
You're spoiled with Popsicle, honestly. It's like
Yeah.
Popsicle's so good. Next we've got Penny. It's an Amber Steel Duel Link card, 2-cost inkable, 1/2. Quest for 2. When you play this character, you may remove 2 damage from chosen character, and they gain resist +1 until the start of your next turn. Cool card. Cool card. I like the effect. I think it's interesting, but just not really sure what it goes into. Do you think this could find its way into like the Diggy Diggy Hole deck, maybe, or no?
No. No.
No.
I kind of didn't see that quest for 2. A 1/2 quest for 2. Like a little bit of
Heal
heal
something
resist.
and protect something.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, I still feel like in most situations you don't get enough out of the heal and resist part of the effect to make up for 2-cost 1/2 quest for 2, but
It's also bad early, right? Like it's bad.
yeah.
It's not great early. It's better later. So
Yeah, it's better like on 5 ink or something.
yeah. Next is Anna. It's a blurple card, 4-cost inkable, 2/3, quest for 2 with support. When you play this character, chosen opposing character can't ready at the start of your next turn. So
You freeze something for 1 turn.
this is interesting to me, by the way, for how the rules work, and I think I understand that, right? If your opponent just played a character, like it's just in play, and you play this on it, it's gonna like just not be ready again, right? It's just not gonna be able to. It's weird because it's not that it's exerted, but it will simply not be able to do anything. Do you get me? Like if they play like let's just say they play Chernobog's, and then you play Anna, chosen opposing character can't ready to start next turn. That's gonna stayed right. Like it's gonna look ready, but it's not gonna be able to do anything, right?
Oh, I think it's still going to be ready.
What?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
I usually don't read the rules that much, but
well, to put it into
well,
I don't know if this. Okay, I don't know if this helps.
Basic.
I was gonna say I don't know if this helps, but there's the ruling that I told you about a while ago where I remember poor Kim. She had a she just played a Flaversham on board, and she had a Shield of Virtue in play. She paid 3 to try and ready the Flaversham.
Oh. Yeah.
But you can't ready a card that's drawing.
Right, you cannot. But I thought like the card like start of your next turn, I also like the ink dries. Even if I don't and like so maybe you can still use the character even if you don't get to ready it and it's already like in a ready state.
That's probably true, right? Like it's already in a ready position, so it's already readied. It's a weird. It's. I mean, honestly, it sounds.
I mean, I would think you get to like you. I'm pretty sure you cannot freeze something that's ready. Like
it sounds silly, right? Obviously, as we're discussing it, but this is a genuine question that should be asked because there's more.
Didn't we have this in the past on like Elsa's Ice Palace and stuff? She's an exerted character. It says. I guess that's not the same then. Surely you had it on like some sort of effect.
But at the same time, if that like, couldn't they have just added on this card when you play this character chosen opposing? I guess chosen opposing exerted character sounds weird and looks weird maybe. But
yeah, I mean, okay. So outside of this this question, I think thematically, I like this card where it's like you freeze something. And then the support really makes sense, right? You free something so that next turn you quest support, give something the support to then challenge the character that you froze the turn before. It's like you set up your own support ability. So I like that part of it, which is the thing I like the most about this card.
Can't ready to start of their next. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, for sure. And next one is a 5-cost inkable Sapphire Song. It's something about the family, I think, but this is pretty much just like put the top 2 cards of your deck face down into your Inkwell and exerted.
So what I like about this is it's a 5-cost song in Sapphire.
And Moyen can sing it.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's also like good for Amber Sapphire because it's a good song for Ariel.
Yeah, that's true. And that's pretty much it, right? There's Grammatala synergy kind of with this, but there was already the what is a friend like me as well. So, yep.
That's Mama OD synergy.
Yep.
Very important.
Next card is Shere Khan, 4-cost, uninkable 4/4, quest for 4. I don't know why I can't remember the abilities of this card.
Pretty sure it was discard your hand when you play it.
When you play it, yeah, that sounds right.
And well, I guess if you're not this, like if you just like have a very aggressive curve and this is your top end and you're barely discarding, maybe it's okay. But even then,
stats are good if you're not discarding, right? Like
sure,
4-cost 4/4, quest for 4. That's pretty nice.
Probably also best paired with Amethyst, where you can like play very aggressive curve and then play this and keep questing, but you still have like a broom or followers on the board. So like if you draw a 1-drop, you don't suddenly have like an awful turn.
Yep. Also pair with the Crunk we keep talking about, right? That you don't have to discard stuff.
Sure, I guess this is good with that.
Then we've got Jebediah. It's a 4-cost inkable. 4-cost inkable 3/3 again in Sapphire, quest for 1.
Who would have thought?
I'm pretty sure this is when you play this character. I mean, it's German. You could.
Yeah, I can read. It's when you play this character. A character of your choice gains resist +1 until the start of your next turn.
And has support as well. Yeah. Cool card. They love this stat line, man. They love this stat line in Sapphire.
And support's okay. Resist +1 really doesn't matter that much if it's just for a turn.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's for 2 turns, it's 4. But yeah.
Next one's Chernabog. 5-cost uninkable 2/6 within Amethyst. A quest for 1.
It says when you play this character, each opponent chooses and exerts one of the characters they can't ready at the start of their player's next turn. So this taps something down and freezes it for the cost of 5 on a 2/6 button.
Both players?
No, just for your opponent, it taps something down.
Okay. Yeah. That's good, no? This is like this is an Elsa 8-cost Elsa effect, except they choose it and it's one character, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
On a 5-cost 2/6.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's too expensive, but it's an okay effect.
Next one we've got is Cinderella, 4-cost inkable 2/4 quest for 2.
It says when you play this character, you may put an item card named the Glass Slipper from your discard on the bottom of your deck to gain 3 lore. Didn't we talk about the Glass? Yeah, we talked about them because it was like this awful card where you can only put 2 copies of them in your deck. Okay, so now it makes a little bit more sense that you can only put 2 copies of them into your deck because like they're synergistic as well.
Yep.
So when you play this, gain 3 lore if you have the Glass Slipper in your discard.
Yep.
Wow. It's a lot of lore on play.
And what you do is, this is the princess you want to find, right? Because you exert the prince. It is very thematic, right? It's kind of cool. You exert the prince, you banish the item, you find Cinderella, you play Cinderella, you gain 3 lore. That's a lot of effort to gain 3 lore, though, no? Like, that's a lot.
Yeah, so you need to play a 2-cost uninkable item, and then
have a prince,
tap it. I guess it's good that like the item taps it, right? So you could play a prince and immediately banish the item to tap the prince that you just played. No. So
this is a ruling that I've had this discussion with many players at my locals so many times before. Because in Magic, if the item taps the character, this is probably what you're thinking. If the item taps the character, it can tap it, right, when it comes to play. Does not work like that in Lorcana.
Okay.
Because somebody was telling me within Amber Emerald to play the Scrump item, which is a 2-cost inkable Amber character. It's like if you exert a character, you give an opposing character -2 strength. So they were like, oh, I'll do Shift Diablo, play this on 2. Or like Shift Diablo and then just tap the Diablo immediately. No, sorry. Play the Diablo on turn 3, just hardcast the Diablo, and then exert the Diablo to immediately get the card draw. I'm like, it doesn't work like that. And they're like, it does because it's the item that's tapping it. And it's like, like, if people in the comments want to double check, like, by all means confirm, but I had a very thorough conversation about this, that you cannot do that.
So even the item cannot, like, tap your characters that just came into play?
Correct.
Okay. So then
because you cannot in order to tap a character, the character has to be ready. It has to be dry, right? Okay. You cannot do anything with a character until it's dry.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is definitely weird because, like, the item says it, so I get where the confusion comes from.
Yeah, you can look it up. Judges out there, let me know, but I've had many a debate about this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I trust you, but please confirm in the comments.
Yes.
So I guess you have to play the glass slip on 2. If you want to do, like, the curve of this, the glass slip on 2, play a prince on 3.
Or have a prince on 1.
Maybe you already played a prince on 1, right? And then can find the princes by banishing the slippers, and then at some point you play the Cinderella, put it back into your deck, and gain 3 lore. Yeah, I mean, I don't. 3 is a lot, but I don't think it's enough of a payoff to tap one of my princes and play an uninkable glass slippers. Find me this Cinderella.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a very, very cool thematic effect, and kind of like explains or at least a lot of the questions that we had when we reviewed the glass slipper.
Yep, for sure. Next, we've got Yzma. It's a 2-cost inkable 2/1 within Amethyst.
When this character is banished, if you have more cards in hand than each opponent, you may return her to your hand. What? Okay, so if I already have more cards than them, and that my 2-cost 2/1 inkable quest for 1 gets banished, I can get it back. Okay.
Weird, right?
So I want to be aggressive with this, but then also have more cards than them. Oh, I guess. Oh, but okay. So it doesn't have like a turn restriction. So even if I'm on my turn, I just draw some cards. I challenge something with this. I get it back. Maybe ink it next turn.
You're playing a 2-cost 2/1. Yeah.
I mean, it's better than a 2-cost 1/2 like Cusco, but Cusco kind of always draws, and this at least has like a restriction.
Yeah. The next one is I don't know the name of the card because it's in Italian, but it's a 2-cost uninkable amethyst action, super rare. You get to draw 3 cards. What do you think about this one?
So does your opponent.
Oh, and so does your opponent? Oh, never mind.
Each player draws 3.
God damn it, I got so excited for a second.
2-cost for 3? I'd play that.
Yeah. No, that's because I remember I literally thinking about this card today and being like, you know, from all the Hearthstone and stuff I played, I was like, you know, there are 2-cost draw 2 cards that are good. 2-cost draw 3? I'm like, what?
Yeah, we had some of those in Hearthstone as well, but they were like, you would have to like discard the non characters or the non spells or something, and then you'd play a deck with only characters or almost only spells. Each player draws 3. I mean, I don't know why am I doing this? How much more value do I need to be gaining from drawing cards than my opponent to be wanting to do this? I guess that's Jafar.
Yeah.
There's Mill and Jafar.
There is
there's immediate lore gain that I could be finding of this, where it's like my opponent's stuff is slower than the stuff that I'm drawing. But
again, a bit silly, probably very silly, because I don't think you can play this in an Amethyst Emerald deck, but you play this and then you do Bend to My Will or something, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
You both draw 3, but you don't get to use them ever. Yeah, that's Bend to My Will synergy as well, sure.
It is Bend to My Will synergy, yeah. So.
Yeah, but I mean, I can never play this early. Or I mean, I can, but I'm like down a card.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It's really, really bad if you play this early, in my opinion. Next one is just a 1-cost inkable 1/3 with an Amethyst if you want to change up from playing your Olafs. Next one's Milo Thatcher with an Ruby, 2-cost inkable 2/2 quest for 1. When you play an action, you may give chosen character +2 strength this turn.
Yeah, well, it is in like an action-heavy Emerald Ruby deck.
With Pete,
this helps me challenge stuff. It's nice.
Isn't there that Pete card that if it has lots of strength, I think you can get some extra lore or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Quest for 4.
Snow White. I kind of like this card, honestly. This is a 4-cost inkable 2/2 quest for 2. Well, as I read out those stats, I know that sounds really bad. This character can't be challenged. So, you have to remove this with a brawl, or you have to do strength, Storm Rage on, stuff like that. But I kind of like this in Amber Sapphire, because you can use Alice to give. If you give this ward, Moyen, how are they? They ain't killing this unless it's grab your swords or something, right?
Of course. Yeah, just grab your swords. Or the new age drop where if you ink deal 2, or Sisu, or...
If there's a way, I don't think there's ever going to be a way where you can reliably, easily keep giving this ward. But the problem is, it's like, the turn you play this, you better hope you can give it ward the turn you play this, because if not, you've just played a 4-cost 2/2 quest for 2. And that's probably pretty bad.
Yeah, well, I see it a little bit differently. I don't think I need to give this ward. To me, it's more like, in some matchups, I will prioritize inking this against like steel decks, but maybe against like Ruby decks, it's like, you just play this, and if they're like, okay, maybe they brawl it.
That's fine, right?
But it's like, I mean, sure, they gained 1 ink on me, and it's not great, but if they don't, maybe this can like threaten for a while all of their Maoris not doing anything against this.
Against just like any Amethyst deck, this seems quite strong, right? There's just no real removal options.
Yeah, Amethyst does a lot of challenging to remove.
Next we got Susie, which is a 4-cost inkable 3/4 quest per 2 within Amber. We've got Sir K, which is a 2-cost inkable 2/2 quest for 2. Dolores Madrigal, 1-cost inkable 1/2 within Amethyst quest for 1. Whenever one of your characters sings a song, chosen opponent reveals their hand. Bit of a silly card.
Sure.
We've got Peppa Madrigal, 3-cost inkable 2/4 quest for 1. Whenever one or more of your characters sings a song, gain 1 lore. This is not a card I'm considering playing, but if there was one card in the set, I could bounce this with the muses. I could do some silly stuff, but like it's.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the Alenadale, but it's cheaper, has better stats, and it only gains lore when the song is being sung instead of just being played.
Yes, because one of your characters sings a song, correct?
Yeah. But I mean, it's much better than Alenadale to me.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty decent stats. Has some burn potential. This I like this card.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Cool. Next we got the Family Madrigal. It's an Amethyst Amber Dual Link card. It's a song, 5-cost inkable. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You may reveal up to 1 Madrigal character and up to 1 song card. Put them into your hand. Put the rest on the top of your deck in any order. So this is what the Mirabelle is probably going to be singing. Ariel can sing this as well. If Ariel's singing this and the Mirabelle singing this, it's okay. Like you can filtering through a lot of cards. You're seeing a lot of cards. If you get that Peppa Madrigal off of it, or any other decent one, even like, I don't know, if you're playing like a very heavy Madrigal deck, like you probably do play like Dolores and stuff in it, honestly.
Yeah, so you should. I mean, I'm assuming you should always find a Madrigal in your Madrigal deck. The problem is, like, if you don't find a song, you only gain
Sure.
1 card.
Sure.
But if you gain 2 cards of this, it's very good. It's inkable, pretty efficient song.
If you think about it, if you're playing a deck with Ariel as well, let's say you've got like 16 to 18 songs, and let's say you've got 16 to 18 Madrigals, then yeah, this is, I can kind of see some cool synergy working there. Oh, is this this is the Queen of Hearts you were talking about that you could shift on? Oh, no, sorry, you mentioned the Emerald one. This is another potential Queen of Hearts shift target. So this is 2-cost inkable Ruby, Queen of Hearts, 1/4 stats, quest for 1. While this character has damage, she gets +3 strength. But, I mean, a 1/4 is a pretty good body to survive before a potential shift. But is this card good enough to run just to do the shift?
No, well, I mean, probably not.
Weirdly enough, this is kind of cool synergy with the Big Queen. So if you have the Big Queen, then you play this. This comes into play as a 4/3 for 2.
Mhm.
because it just pings it, right?
Oh, the big queen pings everything?
Yeah, even
Not
your own
just-
characters, yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Guess it comes in as like a 4/3 then. 2 cost 4/3.
Yeah, 2 cost 4/3. Yeah, interesting. Next one is Keen Eye, 4 cost inkable, 2/4 with an amber. At the end of your turn, if this character is exerted, you may ready another chosen character of yours and remove all damage from them.
It's too expensive. For the 4 cost 2/4.
Yeah, I mean this is a similar effect to the Mufasa we saw last set though, right?
I mean Mufasa. The Mufasa.
Oh, Mufasa readied everything, not one character, right? Yeah.
You're talking about
The legendary
Simba?
one. Simba, sorry, yeah, not Mufasa. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, but there was actually a card with a similar effect, but it was like a 6 cost 3/6, but I don't
Judy,
remember
right?
the character.
Judy Hopps, no?
Yeah, Judy. It was a Judy that we readied once.
Yeah, I remember because after the EU Championship in Paris, we played like Pack Rush, and you just had was it you or was it? It was Kieran, right? Kieran just sat here like a Judy Hobbs, and we misread. I remember we misread the card because we thought it could like ready itself. Do you not remember? Oh. We thought Judy could just quest, and at the end of the turn she could just re-ready herself.
I don't think I was there.
No, you were here. You were definitely there. There was 4 of us playing. Yeah.
At what event?
At the EU Championships in Paris.
I was playing the side event.
No, I'm talking about like the last day. We were in the hotel with the Ravensburger staff chilling out, and we played like Pack Rush. Do you not remember I played Amber Emerald against you, and I had like the worst opening hand ever? I literally scooped on turn 1. Okay, you must not remember, but we played loads. That's when you played foosball and you showed us your professional skills. That. Oh, you remember that? Yeah. Sorry, a bit of a tangent. The next card is Yzma. Above it all, this is an Amethyst Emerald dueling card. 7 cost inkable, 3/8 stats, quest for 2 with shift 5, evasive, and whenever another character is banished in a challenge, return that card to its player's hand. Then that player discards a card at random. So, when you play this, you want to be able to basically banish one of your opponent's cards quite easily, so that it goes back to their hand, and then they can, they'll discard a card at random. But again, this does technically synergize with the Kronk again, because if you have Kronk and Yzma out, your opponent banishes one of your characters, you just get it back to your hand, and it doesn't cause you to discard a card at random.
Yeah, so I guess it works with Kronk, but like outside of that, is it even that beneficial for my opponent to gain the character back that I banished and then discard another card at random? Or like not another, but any of those cards at random, because maybe they want that card back in their hand.
Maybe it's weird, right? Because it's like a we don't talk about Bruno effect, basically, after you banish.
Yeah.
But it's weird because it's worse, right?
They're
because
not even losing a card, yeah.
It's worse because you'll probably lose the card. And this is whenever another character is banished in a challenge. So what if you banish your own character in a challenge as well within the trade?
Then I think it goes back to your hand and you discard a card at random.
Oh god, okay.
That's a very wonky card.
That's very strange, yeah. And next is Raya. It's a steel card, 3 cost inkable, 1/4, quest for 2. During your turn, whenever the card's put into your inkwell, this character gains resist +1 until the start of your next turn.
Well, 1/4 with resist 1 is not that difficult to take out, I think.
It's not that difficult to take out, but it's not that easy either. I think I always compare this to what was it back in set 2? It's like the Prince Charming, I think. With Bodyguard, it's a 1/3 with resist +1.
Oh, just the Prince.
Oh, just the Prince, sorry, yeah. And yeah, like that could be taken out by a Fox really easily, right? Because it's just a 1/4 basically. This not so much, but yeah, I'd have to look at like maybe some Raya shift targets, maybe. Like that. Okay, the card I talked about on the live discussion. The magical this is like the definitive card for Magical Christmas Land, in my opinion. This is like do your wildest combo of your dreams right here.
Sure.
But the effect of resolving this card was confusing for some people, and I honestly think that people will play this card and your opponent will be like, oh no, you have to resolve your card like this because it was shown first. But yeah, it's Return of Hercules for anyone listening on audio platforms and can't see the card. 5 cost inkable Emerald action. It's a legendary card. Each player may reveal a character card from their hand and play it for free. So all I've heard from all of these Ruby players is like, oh, if you just play this, I'll always have a dragon in my hand and I'll always play dragon to banish your card, which is hilarious because dragon is rarely kept in the hand, right? It's inked early. If you draw a dragon after, sure, dragon is like a pretty good counter to this card technically. But my dream wombo combo, as I mentioned in the previous video, was like, you play Chief Bogo, then you play Return of Hercules, then you play the Floodborn Prince Philip. They can choose to bring a card into play. If they do choose to bring a card into play as the active player, you can then trigger the Chief Bogo, trigger the Prince Philip, and wipe their board. They will still have the enter play ability of their card if it had an enter play ability. If they have resist cards, that combo is like absolutely dead in the water, but I like talking through some of these silly stuff because even though it's like never really going to happen, I do think that Chief Bogo Prince Philip thing is one of the cooler things you can do. Any other weird stuff you can see with this Moyen? Do you think this card is just bad overall? Do you think this is the type of card that has the potential to be like really good in some like future combo stuff maybe?
I think this card's mostly bad. It's just like, I don't know, pay when I'm already paying 5 for the action. The discount is not big enough on the card that I'm playing to let my opponent play a card for free.
So you prefer Mickey Mouse than this? No?
That's not what I said.
But you want more of a discount is what you're saying, basically.
Yeah,
sure. Next is Anastasia. I actually really like this card. This is an uncommon emerald card. It's a 3 cost inkable 3/1 quest for 2. Whenever this character is challenged, the challenging player chooses and discards a card. The reason I like this is obviously it's inkable, which is good because it means that you can ink it in like your steel matchups and stuff like that. But I just like this because your opponent is going to have to deal with this. It's 3 strength as well, which is good against like, the Ruby matchups. And it's basically like a merfolk as well. Like I just like the card.
Yeah, no, I mean it's fair. 3 is of course a little bit expensive. If anything ever takes it out cheaply without challenging it. But outside of that, whenever you challenge this, your character also takes significant damage and you have to discard. It's a good combination.
Yeah, no, I really like this honestly. And like I said, if they have the removal from against steel, I'll probably just ink this. Or I play this card against them, which is do you want to read this card out in what's the name of this card in German? Is this
Doppelter Ärger.
What's that mean?
It's like double the trouble. Sure. Oh, that's actually its name in English.
Yeah, double the trouble. Double trouble. Yeah, so this is just like ping 2 cards for 1 damage. It's a 2 cost inkable steel action card. In a meta with loads of Chernobog's followers, loads of cursed merfolk, maybe, but
sure. I mean, probably most of the time worse than dealing 2 damage to 1 character.
Yeah.
Outside of the emerald damaging opposing characters theme.
Yeah. Is this even opposing? Can you self damage with this? You probably can, right?
Yeah, you can actually self damage too.
Yeah, interesting. Next one is just it's a 2 cost inkable 2/2 with an amber quest for 1, and this is just the support ability. Then we've got Jasmine within Sapphire Steel, dual link card, 5 cost uninkable 3/5 quest for 2. Whenever this character quests, if you have no cards in your hand, draw a card for each ally character you have in play. This is some very, very, very big synergy with a card we'll see a little bit later on. But besides that, I don't know, like a deck and kind of a more aggressive deck that has a lot of ally characters.
Yeah.
Could be okay.
Well, it's like difficult when you compare to like a Sad Beast.
Yeah.
That's inkable.
And has same stats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like This is also on quest. This isn't on play. But there is it's notable that this has some synergy with another card we'll see in a minute. The next one's Aladdin, which is a steel card. That's 4 cost, uninkable 2/4, quest for 2. It has some ally synergy, but if you want to try read it out, Moyen, that would be helpful.
Yeah, it's whenever this character quests, you can play an ally character card costing up to 3.
For free, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other part of the effect is, while this character is exerted, your allies gain +1 strength.
Okay, cool card, cool card. If you want to play an ally deck, it's yeah.
So you play it on 4, quest on 5. You can play a 3-drop for free, and then also all your allies have a strength.
Does this get plus strength while it's exerted or no?
I think yes.
Okay. Cool.
I think everything has then plus. So while it's exerted, it also then has 3 strength. It's okay.
Yep.
A little bit expensive maybe, but it all depends on how much value are you getting out of this like 3 cost ally.
Yep, I agree. Then we have Wendy Darling. It's a Amber Ruby dual lane card, 7 cost, inkable 5/7, quest for 2 with evasive. Whenever one of your other characters is banished, you may remove all damage from chosen character.
Surely that's too expensive.
Yeah, weird card, honestly. Weird card.
Yeah. It's also not easy to get the healing value when that is the condition of having something being banished.
It's a weird card, but like it's a big enough card that maybe you just play it in like a, if people are still playing like Ruby Amber Mufasa, it's a cool card to pull off Mufasa, I guess, but sure. Then we've got Taka, which is a 6 cost inkable 5/6 quest for 2 amethyst character with challenger +2, standard stuff there.
Next.
The Phantom Blot, which is a very cool looking character. This is a 2 cost uninkable 3/1 with rush and a quest for 1. We've seen this card before. This is Stitch. Stitch. I don't know if it's a Stitch Abomination. It's like the Ruby Stitch with rush. That's a 3/1 as well. The only notable difference with this is it's a villain, so maybe there's some villain synergy. I don't know.
And it's a cooler character.
It is a cooler character. I said that this looks like I don't know if anyone's even going to know who this character is. This looks like Thelonious from Shrek, who's Lord Farquaad's like sidekick. If you type in Thelonious Shrek Moyen, you'll laugh because it doesn't look like him, but it's like the closest thing I can like imagine to this character. So
do you know this character?
Do I know the Phantom Blot?
Yeah.
No. Apparently it's from like a comic or something like that.
No, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's like one of the villains from like Donald Duck.
Oh.
And it's very, very cool villain.
Oh, awesome. I didn't know that. Next we've got John Silver, which is an Emerald Steel dual link card, 8 cost, inkable 6/4. If an opposing character was damaged this turn, you pay 2 less to play this character. It has resist +1. And whenever you play an action that isn't a song, you may deal 1 damage to chosen character.
Just quick callback, I'll get eaten alive by the comments. It's from villain from Mickey Mouse, not Donald Duck.
Okay, cool. No worries. I got you. Yeah, what do you think about this John Silver? Can you remember off the top of your head, is this basically like very, very similar stats to like the Hercules? Isn't there like a 6 cost, 6/4 quest for 2 Hercules with like resist +2 and steel, I think?
Is it a 6/4, like a 6/3? There's something like that. Maybe
it's a 6/3. I mean, the thing with John Silver is like it has a lot of tags on it. It's a pretty big beefy pirate. I ain't gone soft ability of whenever you play an action that isn't a song, you may deal 1 damage to chosen character. That's pretty good. Like that turns to fire the cannons into deal 3 to something, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and then when you play multiple actions a turn, it really comes together. It also, like this action that isn't a song works really well with the Smee. That's also Emerald Steel dual ink that we talked about last week.
Is that the one that readies a... Oh, readies a pirate
when you play an action that isn't a song.
Yeah.
So then when you have both of these on the board, suddenly every action readies a pirate and deals the damage.
Yeah.
That's not a song.
That's cool.
So you can definitely build something up where your actions have high impact.
Next, we've got TikTok, 5 cost, inkable, 5/6 steel. During your turn, this character gains evasive while the pirate character is in play. weird, but yeah. I mean, it's not. If this was just in the 5-cost inkable 5/6 with evasive, it still probably wouldn't see play.
Yeah.
But,
I guess it's better than Cerberus, but it's a little bit. Set 7 is a little bit late for that.
yeah. Next one's Penny the Orphan, 2-cost inkable Sapphire card, 2/1 quest for 2. While you have a hero character in play, this character gains ward. I honestly think this card would be really, really good if this was 3 strength instead of 2 strength. Okay, maybe not really. Maybe not.
With 2 strength, yeah. It's just you're right. With 2 strength, it's too easy to get like value traded.
Yeah, but if this had 3 strength, maybe not really, really good, but there's a lot of good 1-drops that you can play that are heroes, and then you play this on 2 if you wanted to. So before we finish the episode, it's just running a little bit long today, unfortunately. We did want to talk about one other card that has kind of caused a stir within the community, which is Belle, Apprentice Inventor. This is a 3-cost inkable Sapphire card, 3/3, quest for 1. During your turn, you may banish chosen item of yours to play this character for free. Absolutely insane. I think this is the Sapphire Steel dream. I think this is your new Cinderella on turn 1. Like, people have been comparing this with the Amber Cinderella and with Diablo because this is a basically turn 2 Singer 3. And within Sapphire Steel, it's pretty good because you've got Storm Rage on, you've got Strength for Raging Fire. You've got a few different things that you can be doing. So, yeah, Moyen, what were your initial impressions when you saw this?
Well, I couldn't believe it. I thought maybe this is not a real card. So this seems incredibly powerful, and not just that. It's kind of like taking away the major weakness of some of these Sapphire decks, where you can maybe go under them. How do you go under like a turn 1 3/3? And they won't have it all the time, but even when they don't have it turn 1, maybe they just add like a free 3/3 after having set up an item on one of the earlier turns. In red blue, it's debatable if it fits or not because they only have 4 popsicles that are like really efficient with this. In blue steel, though, this card's amazing, and it even poses the question of, in blue steel, for example, do you like just play this in like a normal control ramp blue steel? Do you play it in a whole new world version where you can like suddenly after post or like before or after your whole new world, you can like suddenly have a lot of tempo added by like dumping your hand quickly for this. Or the other thing is also you could just play this in like a tempo deck that doesn't even ramp, where you use this also to sing like Storm Rage on or Strength and flood the board and just go aggressively yourself. So it's also interesting to build with this for sure, but this card to me is absolutely amazing. I cannot see, and also it even synergizes with the new 6-drop Tamatoa, where maybe you can get this. Like this is a more efficient way of getting your Fortress Spheres to the discard. And overall, I've never really been scared of any color, and I love Sapphire, but this really poses the question to me of why. I mean, at least at the start of the next set, like why try a non-Sapphire deck? It's like, okay, I guess there's infinite stuff that I want to try in red, blue, green, blue steel, and a lot of those ideas will probably be involving Belle.
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared of what's to come next set. Mainly because I don't know what I want to play if this is what's running around the whole time. I don't know if anybody knows. Like, people are gonna be like, okay, you probably just if this is the best thing that you can do, maybe you just do it. Like maybe this is what the opponent has to do to combat the crazy turn 1 opener. So I don't know what I'm going to play, and I kind of don't want to play a Sapphire deck immediately because there is so much hype around it, and it seems really, really powerful, which I think most people will do. But I just could see myself getting frustrated playing against this already. But listen, who knows what's going to happen? And we'll see. So yeah, again, apologies everyone for the episode running a little bit long. I think what I'll say is if there's any cards that we missed and you guys want us to go over, just let us know in the comments and we'll just breeze over a few next week. From next week onwards, I really want to focus on we'll have a look at the tournament result from this weekend, kind of end of set 6 type of thing. As Moyen said, I'm very much in agreement that I think that the red blue list with like, the manners, the Goofy's kind of DKP's version is pretty much the best deck of set 6. So I don't know how much innovation we're necessarily going to see in this tournament on the weekend, but it's still going to be cool to see the tournament results, of course. And maybe next week we'll try and cover some initial deck building ideas, some decks that we can show off for set 7, so that the following week you guys can, open boxes, open packs, and experiment and build some new decks with the new cards.
Yeah. Also, I'm really no one to like to get too scared of a card like before it's even released. We talked about Sapphire Coil earlier, where a lot of people go crazy. I'm like, I know it seems decent, but it's not really nothing crazy. This Belle is like one of the only few cards where I feel like, okay, that is crazy. I feel like the last time I kind of felt this way was like on Mr. Smee. I was like, okay, that's just clearly overstated. It's nothing flashy, but it's like, that's just a really, really good card. And this one's similar, right? It doesn't just end the game, but it's like really, really, really efficient in especially in blue steel. Also, for next week, maybe you guys can leave us some deck ideas of maybe like some stuff you're excited about, some card combinations, where we can maybe try to build some decks around those.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. I'm also terrified of this Belle. I don't know what a good opener against this is going to be. Like I mentioned, like you might have to kind of result in going back to playing. It sounds silly, but like if there's the threat of this Belle being able to sing something the whole time, it's like maybe people just go back to playing 1/3s, so that there's a 1-drop that won't be banished immediately. Honestly,
no, but then
right?
you have a 1/3 on the board that never does anything because you can't exert it because I have a 3/3 on the board.
I know. I'm trying to think here, right? It's like you play your 1/3, you quest, you get your Madam Mim, you got 3/3 against a 3/3. Honestly, like I don't know what else I'm doing to beat this. Like there's nothing.
Yeah. I don't think you will play out the 3/3 immediately all the time. I think often you'll just like you play the item. And then if you commit anything to the early game, I will just play my 3/3 and say, okay, deal with like that buys me so much time to do my ramp, other stuff. But like I don't necessarily think you always have to like, let's say turn 1 on the play, just play item, banish it for the 3/3, and then maybe sometimes run out of cards, don't have a Flower Charm target or something. But like you have the option, and I think that is really powerful.
Yeah. I'm scared, man. I'm scared. But I guess I'm kind of excited too. You know what? Like at the end of the day, this still opens up unique deck building opportunities, right? I think with this card and with how powerful it is, it means that the blue steel decks are gonna start to shift from what they've always kind of traditionally been. Like we didn't get to talk about this week's episode, but Harlan Sweet within the Lorcana community, he's famous for making this kind of very low to the ground Sapphire steel list that has like you had like the Robin Hood shift line, had Pete's, had even the new Baymax, loads of like kind of just like kind of like the diggy hole Amber Steel deck where you're just curving out and you're questing, and that's kind of the main game plan. And Belle seems to fit into that package really, really well. So I like that we get to see different iterations. The only thing I don't like necessarily is it's all Sapphire. It's all Sapphire. And it's blue. I'd like to see more blue green. We've seen so much red blue. We've seen quite a bit of Sapphire Steel. At the end of the day, it's still innovation. It's still different versions of the deck, of different versions of the decks, which are cool. But if I'm being completely honest, I do think that they've given Sapphire a lot of love this set. And it's not just been this set. It's like every set, they've gotten Sail, they've gotten Ice Blocks, they've gotten something to really keep the deck going. And there's some color combinations out here like struggling. Like you look at Amber and it's like Amber doesn't really get great things comparatively to this, you know what I mean? So again, I'm not trying to speak too negative. I think it's cool. I think we'll have fun testing. I think there'll be some cool decks that will come out of it. But I mean, we heard them, right? They said they're gonna monitor Coil, but I hope they monitor this card more than they monitor Coil. Honestly, I don't know how you feel, Moyen, but I guess we'll see. If you guys enjoyed listening to this week's episode of the podcast, be sure to leave us a review over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, your local podcast platform. There's a video version of this available over at youtube.com/@PodcanaPodcast. Hit the subscribe while you're there. We're so close to 5k. It would be great if you guys could make that happen for us. Twitters are at Kawatek_CG and at Moyen_HS. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next one.